Chapter 447. When this roar sounded, everyone subconsciously stopped what they were doing and looked towards the door. They saw 20 or so fierce people rushing in, and the person in the lead had a scar that ran from the left side of his face to the right. It was especially ferocious and terrifying. Brother Scar is here. This kid is going to suffer a big loss. Yeah, he dares to cause trouble in Brother Scar's place. He must have eaten a leopard's guts. Some people whispered, but no one walked away. Instead, they opened their eyes wide and prepared to watch a good show. The several colleagues in the booth also seemed to have suddenly drunk stimulants. They came back to their senses and leaned over the booth to watch attentively. Brother Scar, you finally came. This kid came to cause trouble. Brother Meng pushed the almost scared out of her wits to the side. He climbed up and fiercely shouted. Scarface's eyes were small but very bright, like the eyes of an eagle. He stared at Tang Zhang and coldly said, "Kid, you really have guts. You actually dare to cause trouble in my place. Who sent you?" Tang Zhang acted as if there was no one around and held Lu Qingmei's hand as they walked towards the door. He said, "No one has the qualifications to send me." "Oh, you're quite tight-lipped. Did Blackie send you here?" Scarface questioned. "I don't know any hazy. A good dog doesn't block the way. Get out of the way." Tang Zheng expressionlessly said. "You dare to call me a dog? Brother Scar will cut you today." Scarface flew up and directly swept towards Tang Zheng's head. This kick was fast and ruthless. It was the essence of leg techniques. Moreover, it was Scarface's tried and tested killing move. Seeing that the leg was about to hit Tang Zheng also flew up and kicked. Fast as thunder, the momentum was like a swan. It directly hit Scarface's leg. Bang! Scarface flew out and just happened to crash into the booth where Chief Chin and the others were sitting. The group of people were shocked and screamed. "Deal with him." When the other henchmen saw this, they clamored and pulled out the machetes they always carried with them, and started to attack Tang Zheng. Tang Zheng's eyes turned cold as he used one hand to cover Nanan's eyes while the other hand smoothly snatched a machete. Shwa shwa shwa, the machete's afterimages flew out as a cold light flashed. Pitiful cries rose and fell one after another. Not long after, more than 20 people fell into a pool of blood, groaning and screaming. The others retreated, looking at Tang Zheng as if they had seen a ghost. Seeing Tang Zheng's gaze sweep over, many people subconsciously lowered their heads, not daring to look at Tang Zheng. When Brother Meng saw Tang Zheng looking over, his throat went dry. He was so scared that his legs went soft and he lay on the ground again. He didn't dare to say another word. "Let's go." Tang Zheng and the others swaggered out of the bar under the watchful eyes of the crowd. No one dared to stop them. Tang Zheng let go of his hand. Nana pouted and said, "Brother, did you just beat up those bad guys?" "Of course." Tang Zheng grinned. "Wow, that's great. Brother, I want to be as powerful as you when I grow up." Nana waved her small fist and said eagerly. "Oh, then how about I teach you?" Tang Zheng took the opportunity to say. Nana hurriedly nodded. "Okay, Nana wants to be strong and become a superwoman." Good, Nana will definitely become more powerful than a superwoman." Tang Zheng tenderly stroked Nana's head. They returned to Lu Qingmei's residence. "How was your trip to Dianan? Why did it take so long?" After comforting Nana to sleep, Lu Qingmei couldn't help but ask. "There was a little accident. My identity as a cultivator was exposed," Tang Zheng said. "Ah, then what should we do?" Lu Qingmei's face suddenly changed. She already understood what this meant. Tang Zheng put his arm around her shoulder and comforted her. "Don't worry so much. There's nothing to be afraid of. Moreover, my strength has increased a lot. It's not so easy for the average person to kill me." Seeing that he was full of confidence, Lu Qingmei was a little relieved, but did not forget to remind him. "You must pay attention to your safety in the future. Your new job doesn't seem to be going well." Tang Zheng changed the subject. Lu Qingmei sighed and said, "In fact, it's not bad at work. It's just that it's so unpleasant tonight. If you're not happy, just change your job. Don't force yourself." Tang Zheng didn't want to dare her too much. She was an independent person. She should have her own life and circle. Tang Zheng didn't intend to tell her what to do. "I know. Anyway, I'm very happy right now. I'll see later," Lu Qingmei said indifferently. Tang Zheng nodded. After tonight's incident, naturally no one would have any bad ideas about her or secretly make things difficult for her. After all, they had to weigh the pros and cons. "I've been gone for so long. Did you miss me?" Tang Zheng turned over and pressed her down. He sniffed the fragrance of her neck and softly asked. Lu Qingmei heard this and her heart moved. Her body began to soften as she whispered. "I didn't miss you. I've been gone for so long without any news. Is it because there's a beauty in Dianan that you forgot about home?" Tang Zheng's mind was filled with thoughts of martial arts. However, he didn't bat an eyelid and flatly denied it. "There's no beauty as attractive as you, Teacher Lu. You're not allowed to call me teacher." Lu Qingmei's heartstrings trembled. When she heard the word teacher, there was a strange feeling that touched her heart. He, Teacher Lu is shy." Tang Zheng's finger lightly brushed across her body. He felt her body temperature gradually rise and slightly trembled. "Don't." Lu Qingmei stopped him. "Teacher Lu, let's have a health class." Tang Zheng strangely laughed and moved. The room suddenly became as warm as spring. The next day, Tang Zheng woke up early in the morning and made breakfast. The three people ate breakfast together. He brought Nana and Xiaobai to school. After many days of separation, the school was still brimming with a youthful atmosphere. Even the cold winter was unable to disperse this atmosphere. Before he left, he was still a famous person in school. Wherever he went, he would attract the gazes of many people. However, after so many days of silence, everyone returned to their calm state. Although there were still people looking at him, they weren't as hot as before. He was familiar with the way and avoided the dormitory manager's detection range. He brought Nana to the dormitory. However, he discovered that the three people were still hiding under the blankets. He couldn't help but mischievously yell. "The instructor is here." As soon as he said this, the three people sat up as if it was a conditioned reflex. Sinosaurus even directly stood up and hit the ceiling with a bang. "Ouch!" Sinosaurus rubbed his head and jumped around in pain on the bed. He angrily said, "Which bastard is randomly yelling so early in the morning? Are you trying to kill me without paying with your life?" Before he finished speaking, he stared straight at Tang Zheng and cried out in alarm. "Old 3 is back. Old 3 is back." With a panged sound, he jumped down from the bed. His movements were incomparably agile as he pounced towards Tang Zheng like a big black bear. Wang Shiji and Zhou Yan also got up and looked at Tang Zheng in disbelief. They quickly climbed down the stairs and rushed up to hug Tang Zheng. "Hey, stop right there." Nan Nan was a mischievous child, so she shouted at the top of her lungs. The three of them seemed to have activated the brakes and stopped dangerously in front of Tang Zheng. Sinosaurus smiled and said, "Little beauty Nana, why are you here?" When Tang Zheng brought Nana to school, he was already familiar with the brothers in the dormitory. Nana put her hands on her hips and said seriously, "Of course I'm here to study." "Humph, you are all lazy people. I got up early, but you are still in bed." The three of them were speechless and their faces flushed red. Wang Shiji mumbled and explained, "We don't have any classes in the morning." "Heh, let's not talk about this for now. Old 3 is back, we need to celebrate." Old 3 must have suffered a lot outside during this period of time. Look at how dark his face is. Second brother, your observation is really meticulous. Could it be that a day without seeing each other is like 3 autumns? You want to be gay with old 3, right? Zhou Yan teased. Sinosaurus's face hardened, and said, "I am a straight man, moreover, I already have Lu Xian, how could I fall in love with someone else? I am a dedicated man." Tang Zhang's eyes lit up, and teased, "Yo, second brother, your progress is quite fast. You took down Lu Xian so quickly." Back then, during the dormitory friendship of 502 and Yiding Dang, Sinosaurus had already taken a fancy to Lu Xian. Who would have thought that during the period of time when Tang Zhang was away, the two of them would actually achieve a positive result? Sinosaurus scratched his head and said, "Of course, don't you see who I am? Although I'm not as popular as third brother, I'm still the second most popular person in our dormitory. Fourth brother was chased by Li Fangfei, and Lu Xian was chased by you. As for third brother, you're even less of a match for him. Who knows how many beauties he has." Wang Shiji mercilessly took over his bottom line. Sinosaurus was not angry, and said embarrassedly, "Boss, you don't have a goal yet. I'm someone who has already gained something, you don't have the qualifications to laugh at me. I plan to study hard in university and then find a good job after graduation. I don't want to waste my time in a relationship." Wang Shiji said seriously, "Moreover, the cost of a relationship is so high, I can't afford it. TSK, you can spend less money in a relationship. Whenever you like a girl, our dormitory will mobilize everyone to help you take her down." Sinosaurus patted his chest and said. Tang Zheng laughed, and looked at Zhou Yan. Zhou Yan's family background was not ordinary, and even until now, Tang Zheng still had not figured out his background, but Li Fangfei's eyes were fiery gold, and actually chased after him. However, it seemed that Li Fangfei did not succeed. "OL 3, where have you been all this time? Professor Qi also came back, but you disappeared without a trace. We went to ask him, but he stammered. We thought something bad had happened." Zhou Yan asked with concern. "I'm fine. I was just delayed by some things. Is Professor Qi alright?" "Sigh, let's not talk about it anymore. When Professor Qi came back, it was as if he had changed into a different person. Furthermore, his classes are being replaced by other teachers. I wonder what he's busy with right now. Right now, this teacher's lecture is not interesting at all. It's far worse than Professor Qi's." Sinosaurus muttered. Wang Shiji nodded in agreement with a serious expression. Chapter 448. Tang Zheng asked his roommates to take care of Nana. Then, he went to look for Qi Shaowen. Fortunately, Qi Shaowen was still sane. Otherwise, Tang Zheng would feel guilty. However, Qi Shaowen looked at Tang Zheng strangely. At first, it was joy. Then, it was surprise. He looked around nervously as if he was afraid of something. "Professor Qi, why are you so careful?" Tang Zheng asked with a smile that was not a smile. Qi Shaowen patted his chest and said with lingering fear, "I thought you wouldn't come back. You don't know that after we came back, everyone was quarantined and interrogated. They were only released after a few days." Tang Zheng nodded and said, "What a big fuss. It seems that the 100,000 Hills incident is very important." "Of course it's important. This is the biggest discovery in the archaeological world. Of course, it's beyond our abilities." Qi Shaowen looked gloomy. All the so-called big discoveries in the archaeological world over the years are nothing compared to this one. This has overturned traditional knowledge. It's because you've overturned tradition that the higher-ups put you under strict scrutiny and gave you a gag order, right? Tang Zheng said calmly. How did you know? I guessed. That's an accurate guess. The higher-ups are afraid that I'll spill the beans, so they don't let me attend classes. Instead, they let me focus on my research. Actually, this is good. This is a big discovery. It's enough for me to study for many years, Qi Shaowen said. Tang Jing frowned slightly. So it's the higher-ups' order that you don't attend classes? Yes. In order to avoid contact with too many people, I even suspected that I was being watched for a while. But it seems that I'm too sensitive. Qi Shaowen smiled sheepishly. Tang Zheng could not bring himself to smile. Obviously, his suspicions were true. The officials took this matter so seriously that they would really keep an eye on the archaeological team. However, it was obvious that they strictly obeyed the order and did not tell anyone about what happened in the 100,000 Hills. That was why the surveillance was lifted. By the way, why did you come out? I thought you'd be in danger. Tang Jing said, of course there was danger, but I was lucky enough to escape with my life. Qi Shaowen patted Tang Zheng's shoulder and lamented, it's good that you're alive. At that time, I really thought that I was going to die in the 100,000 mountains. I don't care about my old bones, but it's a pity that you died at such a young age. Tang Jing grinned. I won't die so easily. You didn't meet anyone from the government when you left the 100,000 mountains. From the looks of it, they won't sit idly by and do nothing, right? Tang Zheng gave him a thumbs up and praised, Professor Qi's foresight is amazing. Of course I met them, but they can't do anything to me for the time being, so I guess I'm safe. Qi Shaowen sucked in a breath of cold air and sighed. Oh, you. When I first met you, I really didn't expect you to be so extraordinary. You can actually reach a balance with the government. However, I still want to remind you that there are no eternal enemies, only eternal interests. To the government, you're still an unstable factor. They won't sit idly by and do nothing. You have to be careful. Tang Zheng was very touched. He said, thank you for your concern, Professor Qi. I understand. Tang Zheng already had a plan. As long as he and the Wu tribe quickly became stronger, the government would naturally be more afraid of them and would not dare to act rashly. This was a kind of deterrence, just like nuclear weapons. The nuclear powers would not really attack anyone with nuclear weapons, but they would send a message to the world that they had such a powerful weapon. Therefore, they would be confident in their words and not dare to do anything to them. Otherwise, they would fight to the death and no one would have an easy time. Since Tang Zheng had achieved this level of deterrence, he could rest easy for the time being. Professor Qi, I need to trouble you with something. Tang Zheng said, I want to study the information related to the ancient Emperor Qi Yu and the Battle of Zhuolu. Qi Shaowen smiled proudly. His eyes narrowed into slits. He said, I knew you would want to know these things, so I've already started to study them. Tang Zheng was overjoyed. Qi Shaowen's knowledge in archaeology was much deeper than Tang Zheng's. With his research, Tang Zheng would definitely be able to find out the truth about the ancient era. Professor Qi, have you heard of the term stairway to heaven in your research materials? Tang Zheng asked as an idea came to him. The stairway to heaven was of great importance. Tang Zheng already had 30 pieces. He was eager to know the whereabouts of the other dozens of pieces. Although Tang Zheng had not decided whether or not to bring the cultivators back from the skies beyond, at least there was this possibility now. He had to control this possibility in his own hands, otherwise, if it fell into the hands of someone with evil intentions, then the world would really be in chaos. Stairway to heaven. Qi Shaowen scratched his white hair and fell into deep thought. Suddenly, he rushed to a bookcase next to him. There were many large books on it. Many of them were books that Tang Jing had never heard of before. They were obviously professional books. Qi Shaowen pulled out a thick book from the pile and quickly flipped it open. Tang Jing found that this was not a complete book, but a book made up of many sheets of paper glued together in a messy manner. These sheets of paper were very ancient. They were obviously ancient books. Qi Shaowen carefully flipped through them. Suddenly, he stopped. His eyes lit up and fixed on a piece of paper. Tang Jing hurriedly went over and saw that he was staring at a piece of paper. No, it was not a piece of paper. It was a piece of animal skin. There was a picture on it. The top of the picture was surrounded by clouds and mist. It was like a fairyland, but there were steps extending from the clouds. They extended straight down and landed on a snow-covered mountain. Mount Buzhou. Tang Jing could not help but exclaim. This mountain was too familiar. Wasn't it the Mount Buzhou in the depths of the prehistoric heavenly tomb? You know this mountain? Qi Shaowen was shocked. Tang Jing nodded. Yes, this mountain is called Mount Buzhou. According to the picture, this mountain towered into the clouds as if it was connected to the sky. How tall is that? Qi Shaowen exclaimed. Tang Jing recalled the scene of Mount Buzhou. Although Mount Buzhou was very tall, it was far from reaching the clouds. It was a little different from the picture. However, Mount Buzhou was too mysterious. There were also mysterious restrictions. He could not judge it according to common sense. This is the stairway to heaven. Tang Jing pointed at the steps and said firmly. He did not expect that there were written records about Mount Buzhou and the stairway to heaven. However, it made sense. In ancient times, Mount Buzhou and the stairway to heaven were not a secret. It was only after the 100-change Star Lord destroyed the stairway to heaven that the attention on Mount Buzhou declined. After that, it disappeared completely from people's sight. In ancient times, there must have been records about Mount Buzhou and the stairway to heaven. However, most of them should have disappeared in the long river of time. Fortunately, this piece of beast skin was left behind. I accidentally found this when I was flipping through ancient books. I did not know the information in it, so I just collected it. When you mentioned the stairway to heaven just now, I thought of this picture in a flash of inspiration. I didn't expect to get it right. Qi Shaowen's face was flushed red. He was even more excited than Tang Jing. Tang Jing, why are you looking for the stairway to heaven? Qi Shaowen asked curiously. It's very useful. Tang Jing did not say it out loud. After all, this was a very important matter. It might not be a good thing to tell him. Instead, it might harm him. This stairway to heaven has been destroyed. However, the cornerstones of the stairway to heaven are called black stones of heaven and earth. They are scattered all over the world. I want to find these black stones of heaven and earth now. Black stones of heaven and earth. The stairway to heaven is made of black stones of heaven and earth. Qi Shaowen was very surprised. Tang Jing was even more surprised. It was impossible for ordinary people to know about the black stones of heaven and earth. Even Tian Chanzi had never heard of it. It was very strange that Qi Shaowen knew about it. Qi Shaowen could not wait to say, I've seen the words black stones of heaven and earth in an ancient book. Tang Jing slapped his head. Qi Shaowen was very knowledgeable. He was like a human computer. He had memorized so much obscure knowledge. In fact, archaeology required a lot of complicated knowledge. It included astronomy, geography, history, and many other aspects. Of course, Qi Shaowen knew a lot of things. This is a book that introduces the majestic imperial city in the capital city. It introduces the black stones of heaven and earth. It is said that the black stones of heaven and earth are stones that are born from the essence of heaven and earth. They are spiritual and have many magical effects. This was a new piece of information. Tang Zheng listened with great interest. When this majestic imperial city was built, many mysterious things happened. It is said that every time a palace was about to be completed, it would collapse for no reason. Many people died. The emperor was furious. He ordered his officials to solve this problem. Later, he found several pieces of black stones of heaven and earth and buried them underground. After the palace was completed, it never collapsed again. It was really strange. The ancient book did not mention the specific reason. When I first read about it, I thought it was deliberately mystifying. I thought it was impossible for such a miraculous thing to happen. Now that I think about it, it is very likely to be true. Tang Zheng was overjoyed. At the same time, he also understood something. When the imperial city was built, it was to imprison the five-clawed golden dragon. Every time a palace was about to be completed, the five-clawed golden dragon must have been resisting and destroyed the palace. Later on, someone found a heaven and earth spirit stone and buried it in the ground. It merged with the imperial city's original spirit array and strengthened the effect of the array. That was how the five-clawed golden dragon was suppressed. The five-clawed golden dragon had never mentioned anything about the black stones of heaven and earth. He wondered if it knew anything about them. Tang Zheng, is this information useful to you? Qi Shaowen asked. Tang Zheng seemed to have woken up from a dream. He shouted, "Yes, it's very useful. Professor Qi, thank you." Tang Zheng hugged Qi Shaowen. Qi Shaowen was extremely embarrassed. He patted Chu Li's shoulder and said, "I'm also very happy that this information is useful to you." Tang Zheng reluctantly let go. He said, "Professor Qi, I wonder if you can continue to collect information about this in the future." Qi Shaowen said without hesitation, "Of course you can. Although I don't know what you'll do with it, I know that you won't do anything bad with it. I trust you." Tang Zheng promised seriously, "Professor Qi, don't worry. I won't do anything bad with the black stones of heaven and earth. I'll take my leave now." Chapter 449. It was not convenient to go to the imperial city to find the five-clawed golden dragon during the day, so he could only wait until night time. In addition, 502 had prepared a welcoming dinner for him, so he had no choice but to attend. The location of this gathering was not far from the school. When Tang Zheng arrived, the others had already arrived. They even brought their companions, which were Yi Dingdang's dormitory members. Seeing Tang Zheng enter, Yi Dingdang was the first to stand up, revealing a brilliant smile, and greeted, "You're here. Beauty Yi has been waiting for a long time. Hurry up and sit next to Beauty Yi." Sinosaurus pressed Tang Zheng to the seat beside Yi Dingdang. The others looked at them with smiles. Yi Dingdang did not refuse, and instead accepted it graciously. "Tang Zheng, I heard that you went to archaeology recently. Was it fun?" Hao Dan tilted his head and asked mischievously. Hao Dan and Feng Yong had already become a pair, but Feng Yong was in class today and did not have time to come over. Hao Dan had heard a lot about Tang Zheng's deeds from Feng Yong, and was quite curious about him, and even a little bit worshipped him. "It's not fun." Tang Zheng shook his head. This time, it could be said to be a narrow escape, and it was not fun at all. How can it not be fun? Don't all archaeologists go to ancient tombs or famous mountains and rivers? At least it's more fun than staying in school. Hao Dan said in disbelief. Archaeology is not only fun, there are also unknown dangers. How could that be? Hao Dan rolled his eyes and had an idea. Could it be that it's like the legends, you guys went to an ancient tomb and then met a zombie? Tang Zheng was stunned for a moment, then couldn't help but laugh. your imagination is really too rich, it's a waste not to write a novel. You actually found this advantage of mine. I've always wanted to be a literary and artistic young woman. How Dan boasted. The others were also amused by her cute appearance and laughed. Li Fangfei looked at Tang Jing with a complicated gaze. In the past, he thought that the person with the deepest foundation in 502 was Zhou Yan, so he did not hesitate to dive into pursuing Zhou Yan's career. Later on, he discovered that Tang Jing was actually a piece of unpolished jade. He looked ordinary and mediocre, but he contained a wealth of treasures. Even though Li Fangfei prided herself as an outstanding treasure hunter, she truly had no way of exploring Tang Zhang's treasure. Tang Zhang's style of disappearing for dozens of days was not her type. However, seeing Yi Dingdang diving headfirst into Tang Zhang's big net, Li Fangfei was really shocked. Li Fangfei could already confirm that Yi Dingdang came from a big family with a prominent background, but she was deeply in love with Tang Jing, which made her extremely puzzled. However, Li Fangfei did not dare to underestimate Tang Jing in the slightest. Just the limelight of the martial arts assembly alone had overshadowed most of the students. Furthermore, she could not see through Tang Jing in the slightest. Lu Xian leaned on Sinosaurus's side like a little bird, looking at the few of them with a smile. She was originally a person of few words, but now that she was conquered by Sinosaurus, she seemed to have become even less talkative, and became a little woman. Alright, everyone, don't just talk about me. While I was gone, a lot of things happened between you guys. Hey, each and every one of you is a pair. Tang Jing said with a smile. Could it be that only you are allowed to set the fire, and we are not allowed to light the lamp? This is called charm, do you know? Sinosaurus laughed and boasted. You still dare to talk about charm? If you didn't pester us, would you be able to chase after our Lu Xian? Li Fangfei teased. Lu Xian was moved by my sincerity. What do you mean by pester us? You don't know anything about romance. Sinosaurus retorted righteously. Lu Xian rolled her eyes and pouted. You're just pestering us, and you don't allow others to talk about it. Sinosaurus chuckled and added, hee, if you say so, then so be it. I'll listen to you. Yo, you're already following your wife's tune so quickly. Second bro, I think you'll definitely be a henpecked husband in the future. Wang Shiji teased. Sinosaurus replied disapprovingly, what henpecked husband? This is called being lovey-dovey. A bachelor like you won't understand. Tang Jing waved his hand and said, alright, there are children here. You guys don't have to be lovey-dovey. Let's eat and drink. That's right, Nana is hungry. Let's eat. Nana held onto her stomach and stared at the table full of dishes with her eyes shining. Let's eat. The atmosphere warmed up and they toasted each other. Sinosaurus told a few jokes, and the atmosphere at the table became more lively. Did they make things difficult for you when I left yesterday? Tang Jing whispered to Yi Dingdang. No, I ignored their words. What's the use of making things difficult for me? Yi Dingdang said indifferently. I didn't have time to say it yesterday. I found that Yi Tianming came with ill intentions. He seemed to have bad intentions towards your family. Tang Jing reminded. Yi Dingdang curled her lips and said, everyone knows Sima Zhao's intentions. It's not that easy for him to deal with our family. Don't think that so many people are standing on his side. Not all of them are dead set on him. Those people are fence-sitters. Oh, that is to say, as long as your father sits firmly on the throne of the Ye family, those people will naturally side with your father. Of course, but I'm not interested in those people. It doesn't matter if there's one more or one less. Tang Jing pondered for a moment and said, remind your father to be careful. He is too honest, but Yi Tianming is not. Be careful of his dirty tricks and deepen Yi Xuanji's prejudice against your father. If that happens, the position of the patriarch may be taken away. Although I don't know why your father was expelled from the Ye family, I'm guessing that it has something to do with Yi Tianming. Yi Dingdang raised her eyebrows and said, I'll tell him. But with my temper, there's no point in staying in the Ye family. It's best to just leave. Tang Jing shook his head, that won't do. That will make things easy for Yi Tianming. I think Yi Xuanji wants your father to compete with Yi Tianming. It's still unknown who will be in charge of the Ye family in the future. At this crucial moment, we can't relax and give the other party a chance. Yi Dingdang glared at him and said, You men are all obsessed with power. Tang Jing smiled embarrassedly, even if we don't like it, we can't let the enemy take advantage of it. Moreover, your father is a member of the Ye family. If he is in charge of the Ye family, it will be a good thing. Alright, I can't win against you. Hey, what are the two of you whispering about? Let's go home and whisper under the covers. Hao Dan saw that the two people's heads were almost close together, and she couldn't help but make fun of them. You and Feng Yong are the ones who are whispering under the covers. Yi Dingdang's face flushed red. Tang Jing coughed and changed the topic, we're done eating. Let's go home. If you want to get a room, go get one. I won't disturb you. Wow, you're talking about yourself, right? The two of you can't wait to get under the covers. Li Fangfei stared at Tang Jing and Yi Dingdang and chuckled. I'm going back to the dormitory. When the lights are off, I'll see who's not back. Then, I'll know who went out to get a room. Yi Dingdang countered. It can't be. Absence makes the heart grow fonder. Are the two of you really not going out tonight? Nana finally finished the food in her bowl. She raised her head and said seriously, Brother, let's go back. Otherwise, Sister Lu will definitely be waiting anxiously. Sister Lu. Who's Sister Lu? Suddenly, everyone quietened down and stared at Tang Jing. Even Yi Dingdang could not help but widen her eyes. Tang Jing knew that something was wrong. This lass was going to expose him if she did not choose her words carefully. He hurriedly said, The kids are just playing. Since everyone is done eating, let's go. Dingdang, Nana and I will make a move first. After he finished speaking, he pulled Nana and left the restaurant as if he was escaping. Brother, why are you leaving? Where's all the delicious food? Nana innocently stared at him and asked. Tang Jing did not know whether to laugh or cry. This little girl almost got into big trouble. So, he seriously said, Nana, brother will make a promise with you, okay? Okay, come, let's make a pinky promise. We won't change our promise for 100 years. Nana excitedly clapped her hands. In the future, don't mention Sister Lu's matters to outsiders. Tang Jing seriously said. Why? When you grow up, you'll understand adult matters. Tang Jing patted her little head and said. Nana did not understand and asked, Could it be that I can't tell Sister Dingdang? Of course, I know that Nana is the best at keeping secrets. This is our secret. Nana happily clapped her hands and said, Okay, Nana promises brother that Nana will definitely keep it a secret. Then let's go home. That's him. Chop him to death. Suddenly, an angry roar rang out and a large group of people surged over. At this moment, the few people in the restaurant also dispersed. No one went to get a room, but a few girls gathered together and started chattering. Ding dang, who is that Sister Lu? Li Fangfei asked. Yi Dingdang blankly shook her head. She really did not know who this person was. No matter how smart she was, she would not have thought that this person was her high school class teacher, Lu Qingmei. There's a situation. Hao Dan said resolutely. Lu Xian also nodded her head seriously. Yi Dingdang panicked. Could it be that there was really a situation? She knew about Tang Zheng and Fang Shishir. Could it be that there was another person? Maybe it's just a kid playing around. Don't take it seriously. Yi Dingdang took a deep breath and suppressed the panic in her heart as she forced out a smile. Dingdang, don't force yourself to smile. Your expression has already betrayed your heart. Moreover, it's better to believe in this kind of thing than not to believe in it. Making preparations early is the best strategy. Li Fangfei warned with the appearance of an expert. Yi Dingdang's panic grew stronger and stronger. If you secretly follow him one day, he will definitely reveal a flaw. As long as you follow the clues, everything will come to light. Li Fangfei clenched her fists and waved her hands in the air as she said. Yes, a woman must fight for her own happiness. Hao Dan and Lu Xian agreed in unison. Tang Jing did not expect that because of Nana's unintentional words, he would reveal a huge flaw. However, at this moment, he did not have the mood to care about this matter. This was because he was facing a large group of people, and among them, there were even people holding guns and swaggering at him. Chapter 450. Brat, aren't you very arrogant? Try moving and your brother Scar will let you know the taste of a bullet today. Scarface flaunted his might as he coldly sneered. Tang Zheng looked at these dozens of people without batting an eyelid. Most of them had weapons in their hands, especially a few of them who were holding guns. The threat was not small. Are you born in the year of the dog? You actually found me. Tang Zheng asked with a teasing smile. Fuck, you still dare to be arrogant. No one in the capital can escape from your brother Scar's eyes. Scarface proudly boasted. Sigh, this is the first time I've seen someone who can't wait to die. Tang Jing shook his head and sighed. Courting death. I think you're the one who's at death's door and still boasting shamelessly. Open fire and get rid of him. Scarface had been running rampant in the capital for many years, but he had never met someone who dared to not put him in his eyes. He couldn't help being furious and didn't hesitate to use his gun to get rid of Tang Zheng as an example. Nana, sleep for a while. Tang Zheng's finger pressed on Nana's neck. Nana's eyes slightly closed and she quickly fell asleep. Now we can make our move. Tang Zheng's lips curled into a smile, but it was like a devil's smile that made people shudder. Scarface's heart trembled as he suddenly had an ominous premonition. He immediately shouted, "Move!" Bang! 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 The sound of gunfire crackled like firecrackers, filling the air. Where did he go? Suddenly, everyone discovered that they had lost sight of their target. Tang Zheng had disappeared. Scarface's heart suddenly felt a sense of danger. Before he could react, he found that his neck was already grabbed. Ah! Scarface screamed in fright, but his scream came to an abrupt end. His throat had already fallen into Tang Zheng's grasp. Didn't you want to kill me? Who's going to kill who now? Tang Zheng sneered. Don't kill me. A strong killing intent enveloped Scarface, and he turned pale with fright as he begged for mercy. Too late. Tang Zheng softly spat out these two words. With a crack, the scarred man's eyeballs almost popped out of their sockets. His neck was completely broken, and his head tilted to one side and drooped down. He killed Brother Ba, someone exclaimed. The corners of Tang Zheng's mouth curled up as he said, he's courting his own death. If I don't kill him, he'll be buzzing around my ears like a fly. It's so noisy that it's annoying. Tang Zheng did not have the energy to deal with these small fries. He might as well get rid of them in one go and save his energy to do other things. However, the others discovered his decisive side, especially his elusive skills, which made them tremble in fear. The henchmen next to him scattered in all directions. Tang Zheng swept his eyes over the crowd and murderously said, "Whoever dares to disturb me again will end up like him." He loosened his grip and Scarface's corpse fell to the ground with a loud bang, deeply shocking their hearts. Tang Jing hugged Nana and left with large strides. The others looked at each other in dismay, but no one dared to stop him. The news of Scarface's death quickly spread. Brother Meng was so scared that he almost fell to the ground. After a brief moment of shock, his eyes lit up and he suddenly laughed wildly. The heavens are helping me. I've been working under Brother Ba for so many years and I've never been able to rise up. Now that Brother Ba is dead, the territory and influence he left behind will be mine. But if I want to smoothly take over his business, then I must accomplish one thing, and that is to take revenge for Brother Ba. That brat isn't even afraid of guns. He's not an ordinary person. If I rush up, I'll only be delivering myself to him. I'm not that brat's opponent, but the person behind Brother Ba can definitely eliminate him. Thinking about the person behind Brother Ba, the light in Brother Meng's eyes burned even more fiercely. As Scarface's henchman, he understood Scarface's background. Scarface was able to stand tall in the capital for so many years and contend against his other big brother Hazy. What he relied on the most was not his subordinates or the guns in his hands. His biggest reliance was the Chu family. Scarface was a dog of the Chu family. Whatever the Chu family said, he would do. It didn't matter if he killed Scarface, but this was touching the interests of the Chu family and going against the Chu family. The Chu family needed an agent, so they wouldn't brazenly let their own family members do this dirty work. Since Scarface was dead, then he, Brother Meng, was naturally the best candidate. Right now, the most important thing was to find the people from the Chu family. Brother Meng thought hard and finally slapped his head. He thought of a clever idea. The big shots of the Chu family were not easy to find, but the Chu family's child phone was very high profile. Brother Meng knew his whereabouts. Right now, Child Chu must be playing at Heavenly Fragrance and National Beauty. I have to go see him immediately. Brother Meng spent a lot of effort and felt that it was more difficult than a fierce battle. Finally, he met the Chu family's young master Chu Xiaofeng at Heavenly Fragrance and National Beauty. Heavenly Fragrance and National Beauty was the name of a clubhouse. This clubhouse was only targeted at high-end customers. Ever since the martial arts assembly, Chu Xiaofeng had been in a state of fear. He was deeply afraid that Tang Jing would find out that he and Song Yu had teamed up to trick him with the spirit-severing pill, so Chu Xiaofeng didn't leave the house at all, as if he was a young lady from a big family. Only after the news of Tang Jing being a cultivator reached the capital did Chu Xiaofeng finally release himself from the boudoir, and once again started to scheme with Song Yu. They finally understood why the spirit-severing pill was ineffective. It turned out that Tang Jing was a cultivator. However, this time, they were no longer worried. Instead, they were ecstatic. Now that Tang Zhang's identity had been exposed, he would become the target of public criticism and would attract crazy attacks. They didn't have to worry about Tang Jing coming to find trouble with them. Chu Xiaofeng was really stifled. Once he was liberated, he would linger around the Heavenly Fragrance and National Beauty every day, as carefree as an immortal. Back then, his arm was broken by Tang Jing, and his cultivation was greatly affected. However, in the end, he was still able to preserve his cultivation, and was still at the second stage of the post-celestial stage. However, compared to most people, this was still an unreachable height. At least to Brother Meng, the other party was an unreachable existence. Brother Meng bent his waist and pretended to be filled with righteous indignation. Young Master Feng, you have to uphold justice for Brother Scar. This time, the other party has gone too far. They don't even put young Master Chu and the Chu family in their eyes. Chu Xiaofeng heard the whole story and asked, Scarface has been around for so many years, yet he was still slaughtered by a brat. Isn't he too weak? Brother Meng hurriedly explained, this time, the other party's strength was beyond our expectations, which is why we suffered such a huge loss. If young Master Feng were to take action, then it would definitely be easy to capture him. Such a small character is not even worthy of carrying young Master Feng's shoes. Hee, of course I know that I'm not even worthy of carrying my shoes, so I'm even less interested. Chu Xiaofeng waved his hand, lacking interest. Young Master Feng, you must be interested. I guess that brat might be a warrior, which is why Brother Scar suffered such a big loss. Brother Mang looked embarrassed, but he suddenly had an idea and said, "Oh, warrior. There are tens of thousands of warriors, so there's nothing strange about it." Chu Xiaofeng had seen too many warriors, so he was not interested at all. He looked deeply at Brother Mang, and said with a fake smile, "I know what you're thinking, you want to borrow the power of our Chu family to rise up, but you're too weak, it's not worth our Chu family to make a move. If you want to take over Scarface's interests, then work hard yourself." Brother Meng's face flushed red when his thoughts were seen through. He said resentfully, "Of course I can't hide my thoughts from young Master Feng. Of course I will work hard, but I'm unwilling to let that brat Tang Jing get away with it just like that." Chu Xiaofeng suddenly sat up straight, and asked with a dark face, "You just said a name, what is it?" Brother Mang looked at Chu Xiaofeng blankly, and said nervously, "Young Master Feng, are you talking about that brat's name?" "That brat's name is Tang Jing." Chu Xiaofeng almost cried out in shock, his breathing involuntarily became hurried, and he asked, "Is he really called Tang Jing?" Brother Mang nodded. "What does he look like?" Brother Mang recalled and described the other party's appearance bit by bit. However, he discovered that Chu Xiaofeng's breathing became more and more hurried, his eyes gradually turned red, and a look of shock appeared in his eyes. "It's him, Tang Xiao!" Chu Xiaofeng suddenly burst out with a hysterical roar. Brother Meng was so scared that he shivered, and asked while trembling with fear, "Could it be that this person also provoked young Master Feng?" "Humph, of course he provoked me. I wish I could cut off his head with a single slash," Chu Xiaofeng said with a murderous aura. Brother Meng was overjoyed. With the new and old grudges added together, we should get rid of this person. "Young Master Feng, if you're afraid of dirtying your hands, send an expert with me. I guarantee that I'll bring you his head." Chu Xiaofeng looked at him with disdain and scoffed, "With just you? Humph, even 100 of you might not be his match, and you still recklessly want to take his head." Brother Mang was flabbergasted. His neck subconsciously shrunk, as if a cold wind had blown over. He asked in bewilderment, "Is that brat really that powerful?" Chu Xiaofeng rolled his eyes at him, too lazy to bother with him, but his mind was spinning rapidly. Why didn't Tang Jing die? Could it be that the martial sect turned a blind eye to him? That can't be. The martial sect had always maintained a zero-tolerance attitude towards cultivators. They would never allow a cultivator to swagger around in this world. There must be something wrong. Tang Jing could not continue to be so arrogant. Sooner or later, the martial sect would make a move against him. However, this brat killed Scarface as soon as he returned to the capital. Was he deliberately going against the Chu family and deliberately provoking them? Chu Xiaofeng was shocked. His first impression was that this was definitely done deliberately by Tang Jing. This brat was still so arrogant after his identity was exposed. He must have eaten a leopard's guts. He must have not put the Chu family in his eyes at all. No, I can't let him live so freely. The martial sect will definitely come to deal with him soon. If I can take advantage of this time to get rid of this brat, I will definitely be able to win the trust of the martial sect. That way, the Chu family will be able to take advantage of the situation to rise, and his position in the Chu family will also greatly increase. Back then, because he had provoked Tang Jing, Chu Xiaofeng had received a lot of criticism from the Chu family. If he could hold his head high this time, it would definitely be a great victory. Chapter 451. Chu Xiaofeng couldn't wait to return to the Chu family and find his father, Chu Mingxian. After Chu Mingxian heard his son's report, he muttered to himself, "You want the old man to personally take action?" Yes, if the old man makes a move, he will definitely succeed. That brat Tang Jing will definitely die. Chu Xiaofeng vowed. Chu Mingxian was silent, his expression serious, and only after a long while did he say in a deep voice, "Your plan is not impossible. If Tang Jing dies, it would be to solve a huge problem for the martial sect." Taking advantage of this opportunity to form a relationship with the martial sect, it would be beneficial to the martial sect, but the key is the master behind Tang Jing. Mentioning this person, both father and son fell into silence. Their impression of Tian Chanzi was simply too deep. Back then, on Yan Potion's 80th birthday, not only did the Chu family lose Chu Xiaohui, a young talent, they had also lost all face. It was the shame of their entire lives. Although that person is powerful, the martial sect will not let him go after all, so he shouldn't be able to jump around for more than a few days. Without that person's protection, what kind of waves can Tang Jing jump around? Chu Xiaofeng said disapprovingly. Chu Mingxian looked deeply at his son and said with relief, "Xiaofeng, you have really grown up. You can see the problem more comprehensively and deeply, and you also know how to share the burden of this family. Your suggestion is not bad. Before the old man sleeps, we will immediately go find him." Chu Xiaofeng was overjoyed and hurriedly nodded. The father and son arrived in front of a small house and stopped in their tracks. They respectfully shouted, "Father, I brought Xiaofeng to see you." "What's the matter?" An old voice sounded. "We have something to report to you. Didn't I tell you before that you should try to make a decision about the Ye family and not disturb my cultivation?" The old voice said. Chu Mingxian lowered his head and said, "Father, I am unable to make a decision on this matter. I must report it to you." The other party pondered for a moment, then said, "Come in." Creak. An iron door opened on its own without any wind, revealing a dark room. There was not a single ray of light in the room, so it was impossible to see what was going on inside. Chu Xiaofeng shivered. He had been very afraid of his grandfather since he was young, and when the old man got older, his temperament became very strange. He did not like the sun and locked himself in this small iron house all day long. It was said that he was cultivating, and it was very difficult for others to see him. If it wasn't for something important, the iron door would never be opened. Chu Mingxian and Chu Xiaofeng fell into the darkness. The iron door closed with a bang, scaring Chu Xiaofeng so much that his entire body trembled. It was pitch black, and he couldn't see anything. However, the old master's voice rang out. "Xiaofeng, you're a man of the Chu family. How can you be so useless? Just now, you were so scared that your whole body was trembling." Facing this question, Chu Xiaofeng's legs went soft, and he had the urge to kneel on the ground. He said with fear and trepidation, "Grandfather's lesson is very right, I will definitely try my best to correct it." "What is it?" "Just say it," the old man said. Chu Mingxian had already thought of an excuse long ago. He explained it concisely, and the small metal house instantly fell into silence. There was not the slightest sound. Even the breathing of the three people could not be heard. It was as if they were holding their breaths. "You want me to deal with Tang Jing and rope in the martial sect?" After a long while, the old man asked. "Yes, this is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity for the Chu family. Now that the honeymoon period between the Chu family and the Yan family is over, we must find a new backer, and the martial sect is even stronger than the Yan family." Chu Mingxian analyzed with conviction. The martial sect has always been arrogant. Will they care about what you do? The old man asked. Yes, the matter with Tang Jing is not an exception. I heard that many strange things have happened in the 10,000 mountains of southern Yunnan, and there are even new cultivators that have appeared. Although the martial sect is strong, their strength in the secular world is not that strong, and we can make up for this weakness of the martial sect. Chu Mingxian said. Could it be that the other families are all fools, giving such a good thing to our Chu family? The old man asked. Chu Mingxian was confident, and said, I have already confirmed it. The Ye family has already announced to the outside world that the Ye family and the Tangjing will no longer have anything to do with each other from now on, and will go their separate ways. Oh, that old man Yi Xuanji actually broke through his cultivation when he was about to die, and now he is so decisive in pushing Tangjing out of the Ye family. It's really strange. The old man said in surprise. Actually, there's nothing strange about this. Chu Xiaofeng had adapted to the darkness, and the pressure he felt had weakened a lot. He changed the topic and said, the Ye family is a group of people who fish for fame. They did not openly go against the Tangjing because they were afraid of being poked at behind their backs, saying that they are as cowardly as mice. But didn't the Ye family also end up in a situation where they forget about righteousness for the sake of profit? That old man Yi Xuanji actually rejected his own grandson-in-law. What a decisive move. The old man sneered in ridicule. I think they were afraid of being implicated by the martial sect, so they made plans early on. Chu Mingxian added. The martial sect is indeed not something that an ordinary family would dare to go against. In that case, Tangjing can be considered a small fish that escaped the net. If we catch this fish, then everything will be fine. The old man asked. Although it won't be fine, it is indeed a way to get close to the martial sect. It is worth a try. Chu Mingxian said cautiously. The old man muttered to himself, and only after a while did he agree, we can kill him, but he is just a small character, and you need me to take action. Are you all idiots? Although it was dark, Chu Mingxian and Chu Xiaofeng still felt a burning pain on their cheeks. Chu Mingxian explained, I am not afraid of Tangjing, but I am worried that his mysterious master will appear. So, just in case, I asked Father to take action. The darkness fell into silence, as if the old man was thinking. After a long while, he said, all right, I promise you, unless his mysterious master appears, I will not make a move. Don't disappoint me. The father and son pair were overjoyed and hurriedly nodded their heads in agreement. Then, they quickly left the small iron house. Chu Xiaofeng's back was cold, and he was actually drenched in cold sweat. Immediately track the brat's whereabouts, and then wait for an opportunity to move. Chu Mingxian ordered. Yes, sir. Chu Xiaofeng could not hide his joy as he accepted the order and left. In the middle of the night, Tangjing waited for Lu Qingmei and Nana to fall asleep before leaving with Xiao Bai. In the darkness of the night, a figure quickly flashed through the streets and alleys, flying towards the imperial city. After a while, he arrived at the foot of the imperial city. Just as Tangjing was about to flip over and enter, his heart suddenly trembled. He turned his head to look not far away, and in a flash, he pounced over. Whiz! A stone was thrown out of his hand. It was like a bullet streaking across the night sky, emitting a sharp sound as it pierced through the air. Puff! The stone hit the ground and shattered into pieces, and the floor that was hit quickly cracked open, covered in cracks. This attack had clearly missed, but the person hiding in the shadows had also appeared. Who is it? Why are you following me sneakily? Tang Zhang's killing intent was exposed as he asked coldly. The one who walked out from the darkness was actually Marshall. She stared at Tang Jing with burning eyes, then looked at the towering imperial city. She frowned and said, It's the middle of the night, what are you doing here? Tang Jing didn't know whether to laugh or cry. Why are you following me in the middle of the night instead of sleeping? You deliberately avoided me. What else can I do if I don't use this method to get close to you? Marshall asked angrily. Tang Zhang was speechless. Ever since he returned to the capital, he had sent Marshall away, and then seemed to have forgotten about her existence. He never thought that she would be so persistent, actually following him in the middle of the night. "You've been following me all night?" Tang Zheng was shocked. Since she was able to follow him to this place, then she must have discovered Lu Qingmei's residence. Lu Qingmei was a cultivator. Could it be that she was also exposed? Marshall's eyes revealed a trace of ridicule as he said, "You really like to play the trick of hiding a beauty in a golden house. That's your high school teacher, right?" Tang Zheng said without changing his expression, "This is none of your business." "Of course I don't care about these messy things," Marshall said. Tang Zheng heaved a sigh of relief. Although Lu Qingmei was a cultivator, to martial artists, cultivators were just like ordinary people. If they did not take the initiative to expose themselves, they would not be able to tell. In other words, Marshall had not discovered Lu Qingmei's identity as a cultivator. "What's the point of following me like this? Could it be that you really want to stay by my side?" Tang Zheng asked curiously. "I came here today to tell you two things." "Oh, what is it? Didn't you tell me to ask Li Xiaotian about the movements of the Rockefeller family? They haven't made any movements recently. In addition, Lewis's whereabouts have not appeared. I reckon he should have returned to his own country." This was not much different from what Tang Zheng had expected. As long as Lewis did not do anything else, he would not have the time to pay attention to him. "In addition, you have to accompany me to the Marshall sect." "What?" Tang Zheng was shocked. "You want me to go to the Marshall sect? Then wouldn't I be walking right into a trap?" "I'm not that stupid," Marshall said disdainfully. "If I really wanted to kill you, why would I save you?" Tang Zheng was speechless. However, he still wouldn't go to the Marshall sect. Although Marshall had already pointed out that the Marshall sect master might be his biological father, he didn't want to be entangled with the other party. Seeing that he was unmoved, Marshall continued, "Sect master has already returned to the Marshall sect, but sect master is injured. However, sect master wants me to pass on a message to you. It is very likely that 100 Transformation Star Lord has also left the 10,000 huge mountains. 100 Transformation Star Lord's temperament is changeable, and his strength is so strong. Didn't your Marshall sect boast about hunting cultivators as your responsibility? Then go and get rid of the 100 Transformation Star Lord." Tang Zheng said in ridicule. Marshall's face was slightly embarrassed. He hesitated for a moment and said, "No one in the Marshall sect is a match for the 100 Transformation Star Lord." "Oh, so you guys are trying to bully the weak. You're not a match for the 100 Transformation Star Lord, so you came to bully me, right?" "Nonsense, who bullied you? Letting you go to the Marshall sect is for your own good. Don't bite the hand that feeds you," Marshall said angrily. The corner of Tang Zheng's mouth raised slightly, and said, "For my own good? I don't think so. In short, I'm not interested in going to the Marshall sect. Don't waste your saliva trying to persuade me." "Humph, I'll wait until you go." "How long can you wait?" "Until you go." Tang Zheng shrugged his shoulders. "Then go ahead, but there's no need to follow me, please go back." Chapter 452. Tang Zheng's face was filled with resentment. Back then, he had tricked the third elder in the imperial city and allowed him to enter the 5-clawed golden dragon's stomach. "It really is you." Marshall instantly understood and revealed an unkind expression. "I had long guessed that you were related to this matter." "Humph, how did you do it?" Since he had been seen through, Tang Zheng did not deny it and openly said, "If I don't kill him, he will kill me. This is a situation of life and death." Although Marshall admitted that what Tang Zheng said was true, the person who died was the third elder of the Marshall sect after all, and his relationship with Marshall was even closer. "If it weren't for your relationship with the sect master and the Marshall sect, I would have killed you right now," Marshall said hatefully. "You're not my match. You can't kill me." Tang Jing said bluntly. Marshall's face was slightly embarrassed and he was speechless. After pondering for a moment, he changed the topic and asked, "Did you come to the Imperial City in the middle of the night to do something bad again?" No comment. Then I'll follow you and see what you're going to do. Although I can't kill you now, I have to be on guard against you doing bad things. Marshall said warily. Tang Jing curled his lips. How could I do bad things? On the contrary, it's more likely that you will do bad things. Since you're willing to follow, then let's see if you can keep up. Tang Jing tapped his foot and flipped over the walls of the Imperial City. With a leap, he disappeared from the Imperial City. Marshall's speed was not slow either, following him like a shadow. Tang Jing did not head straight for the palace, but instead led Marshall around the Imperial City. He was more familiar with the environment of the Imperial City. After circling around for half a round, Marshall was already a little lost, and was left further and further behind by Tang Jing. Whoosh! Tang Jing looked back and finally did not find any traces of Marshall. He could not help but heave a sigh of relief. He suddenly changed the direction of his advance and shot towards a nearby palace. Finally, he arrived at his destination, activated the array, and entered the ground. However, Marshall was like a headless fly, searching for a long time, but he had no choice but to admit that Tang Jing had indeed disappeared without a trace. She angrily stomped her feet and muttered unwillingly, "This person is extremely hateful. Where did he go? Why did he disappear into thin air?" Tang Jing had a faint smile on his face as he arrived at the huge hall. Xiao Bai took the lead and jumped in front of the five-clawed golden dragon. The five-clawed golden dragon's eyes were also filled with joy. He spoke in human language, "You're finally here. This time, you must let him accompany me for a few more days." The five-clawed golden dragon seemed to be used to the days when Xiao Bai was around. This time, after Xiao Bai left, it actually felt a strong sense of loneliness. Xiao Bai rubbed itself against the five-clawed golden dragon's body and squeaked a few times. It was full of joy. The little guy seemed to have fallen in love with the five-clawed golden dragon. "No problem," Tang Jing agreed. "I came here this time to ask you a few questions." The five-clawed golden dragon stared at him with its big eyes and said meaningfully, "This trip to Dianan, your harvest is not small. You actually increased your cultivation again. Hey, your body actually gives me a feeling of being reborn. Could it be that this is my illusion?" Tang Jing's heart moved as he remembered the mysterious heart. Could it be that all of this was due to it? Thus, he hurriedly voiced his conjecture. Immediately, the five-clawed golden dragon exclaimed in disbelief, "What, you actually absorbed Qiyu's heart?" "I'm not sure if that's Qiyu's heart," Tang Jing said. "You're not sure, but I'm 100% sure that it's Qiyu's heart. Qiyu died, but I didn't expect his heart to be left behind and let you get such a big advantage. The Qiyu's heart contains powerful energy," the five-clawed golden dragon said. "Why does it sound so sour to me? Could it be that you also want this heart?" Tang Jing teased. The five-clawed golden dragon said without hiding anything, "I can't even if I want it. Qiyu's heart is in my body, so it can kill me directly." Tang Jing felt incredulous. "Isn't the physique of your dragon race very strong? How can you die because of this heart?" The five-clawed golden dragon rolled his eyes and said, "Do you think that Qiyu's heart is so simple? The reason you're able to survive is because you're a celestial, the nine-yang saint body. That coincides with the Qiyu's body. That's why you were able to contain this heart. Otherwise, the powerful energy of the Qiyu's heart would have directly destroyed your body and incinerated your soul." Tang Jing suddenly remembered the scene of Qiyu's heart entering his body. At that time, he was in great pain as if he was about to die. But later on, he was strangely safe. This was definitely the effect of the nine-yang saint body. Tang Jing patted his chest and sighed with lingering fear. This really is a new lease on life. I walked on the edge of death. This is a great opportunity. Now I'm more and more confident that you'll be able to release me from this cage. The five-clawed golden dragon said proudly. Just now you said that Chi Yu's heart contains a powerful energy. Just what kind of energy is it? Tang Jing asked curiously. The five-clawed golden dragon shook his head and said, I don't know. This secret is only known to celestials. In history, celestials were very powerful and obtained great achievements. There were two conditions. One was that their body was originally the best for cultivation. The second was that there was a mysterious inheritance between celestials. The five-clawed golden dragon was very satisfied with Tang Zheng's reaction and continued, because the era between two celestials is very long, they can't personally pass down this inheritance. Celestials often store their lifetime's cultivation and many profound mysteries in a certain part of their body and pass it down to the next celestial. Tang Zheng was dumbstruck. This was truly shocking news. If that was the case, then Chi Yu's heart really contained a huge treasure. When he was able to secretly break the restriction on Buzhou Mountain, it was undoubtedly the effect of Chi Yu's heart. Moreover, he was able to call out the name of the heaven and earth black stone. It was definitely related to Chi Yu's heart. With all of these, Tang Zheng had already enjoyed a lot of the benefits brought by Chi Yu's heart. However, it is more common to pass down this powerful and mysterious energy through Saraira. The five-clawed golden dragon added. Saraira. Isn't it said that only after a senior monk passes away can a Saraira be created? Tang Zheng asked in surprise. That is also a Saraira, but it is completely different from the celestial Saraira. After a celestial dies, their body will spontaneously combust, and all of their energy will condense into a single Saraira. It is said that this kind of Saraira is as bright as the sun and the moon. It is extremely rare to see it. Tang Zheng was intoxicated as he listened. There were too many mysteries about celestials. Even though he only heard a few words from the five-clawed golden dragon's mouth, he was still very shocked. However, Chi Yu obviously didn't use the Saraira method. Instead, he condensed all the energy in his heart, which benefited you. Wait until you completely inherit the mysteries of Chi Yu's heart, then you will be able to easily save me. I am really looking forward to it. I have witnessed the growth and rise of a celestial. This is really a rare and miraculous experience. The five-clawed golden dragon said with a strange expression on his face. Tang Jing knew that Chi Yu's heart was not something that could be understood in a short period of time. It was better to first understand the matter of the heaven and earth black stone, so he asked, Do you know about the heaven and earth black stone? Of course I know about it. It is a spirit stone that gathers the essence of heaven and earth. However, it is very rare. The most famous one is the stairway to heaven in Buzhou Mountain. However, the stairway to heaven has already been destroyed by the 100-change Star Lord. The five-clawed golden dragon said regretfully. Hearing this, Tang Zheng was shocked. He did not expect the five-clawed golden dragon to know so many things. He quickly said, Since you also know about the Buzhou Mountain and the stairway to heaven, then I will tell you something. The 100-change Star Lord is not dead. He has appeared in this world again. What? The five-clawed golden dragon's whiskers trembled slightly. How is that possible? It has already been so many years. He is still not dead. Yes, he is not dead. I even escaped from his hands. Tang Jing said solemnly, How do you know so many things? As long as you live long enough, you will know a lot of things that other people do not know. Although I have only lived for 1,000 years, but the history of the dragon race has a long history. There are a lot of things recorded, so I know a lot of secrets. The five-clawed golden dragon said proudly. What kind of race is your dragon race? Tang Zheng asked curiously. The five-clawed golden dragon pretended to be mysterious and said, "When you meet more dragons in the future, you will naturally know." Back then, the 100-change Star Lord was quite powerful. Now, no one in this world is his match. This was a regrettable reality. Let's not talk about the 100-change Star Lord for now. Do you know where the Heaven and Earth Xian Stone went after the Heaven Stairway was destroyed? Tang Zheng asked. The Heaven and Earth Xian Stone are scattered in every corner of the world, and no one can predict their exact location. However, as long as you have the heart, you will definitely be able to find these Heaven and Earth Xian Stone. As far as I know, Chiyu has found quite a few Heaven and Earth Xian Stone, and other people have also found them. However, it is not easy to collect all of them. Tang Zheng's heart moved. The Heaven and Earth Xian Stone buried in the Witch Clan's plaza must have been found by Chiyu. The key now was where the other Heaven and Earth Xian Stone were. I can tell what you're thinking just by looking at your eyes. You want to gather all the Heaven and Earth Xian Stone, right? Hee, I know a place that must have this thing. The five-clawed golden dragon said mysteriously. Where? Tang Zheng asked impatiently. Southern Sea Dragon Palace. Dragon Palace? Tang Zheng was extremely surprised. Yes, back then, the Dragon Clan built a dragon palace in the Southern Sea, and the cornerstone was the Heaven and Earth Xian Stone. Later on, the Dragon Clan left the Dragon Palace, but the Dragon Palace was left behind. I believe that the Heaven and Earth Xian Stone are still in their original place. Tang Zheng was overjoyed and asked, "Where is the exact location of the Dragon Palace?" Don't be in a hurry to ask me. Let me ask you first. What exactly do you want the Heaven and Earth Xian Stone for? The Heaven and Earth Xian Stone can be used to rebuild the Heaven Stairway. Could it be that you want to rebuild the Heaven Stairway and then go to the sky beyond heaven to bring back the other cultivators? The five-clawed golden dragon asked curiously. Chapter 453. I'm not interested in what you're going to do as long as you get me out of here. However, the Dragon Palace I mentioned is indeed a good place to go. It's empty, so you can easily get the dark stones of heaven and earth. The five-clawed golden dragon said. Tang Zheng nodded his head and asked for the detailed address, memorizing it in his heart. I have one more thing to ask you. Do you know if there are dark stones of heaven and earth buried in the Imperial City? Here too. The five-clawed golden dragon's eyes widened. That's right. When they were building this Imperial City, every time the palace was about to be completed, they would fail. Then, they would find heaven and earth mystic stones from somewhere and bury them underground, allowing the palace to be built smoothly. Tang Zheng repeated the information that Qi Shaoan had found. Hearing this, the five-clawed golden dragon's eyes flashed with a terrifying light and murderously said, "So that's how it is." When they wanted to suppress me with that array, I was able to resist at first. Later, I felt that the array's power suddenly increased. I never thought that it was the dark stones of heaven and earth. What a cunning human. The dark stones of heaven and earth can greatly increase the power of the array. No wonder I was suppressed alive for so many years. Then do you know how to find the dark stones of heaven and earth? The array The five-clawed golden dragon said without hesitation, the dark stones of heaven and earth can only increase the power of the array when placed in the array Oh, where is the array In the stone room behind. The five-clawed golden dragon moved its huge body and revealed a stone door behind it. Tang Zheng was shocked. He did not expect that there was a stone room behind it. He could not help but stare at the closed stone door. Enter this door and you can see if the dark stones of heaven and earth you're looking for are inside. The five-clawed golden dragon said. Tang Zheng could not wait to rush over. He stared at the stone door and asked, "Since you know the array why didn't you open it before?" There is a restriction on this stone door. Only humans can open it. If I touch it, I will definitely trigger the restriction. The five-clawed golden dragon said helplessly. Tang Zheng suddenly realized that the eccentric person who built the imperial city must have added a restriction on the door to prevent the five-clawed golden dragon from breaking the formation by itself. However, even with the huge body of the five-clawed golden dragon, it was unable to squeeze into this small stone room. That person was worrying too much. Of course you have to push a door. Do you need me to teach you that? Tang Zheng was greatly embarrassed. He quickly placed both of his hands on the stone door. Ripples appeared on the stone door. This stone door was incomparably heavy. He took a deep breath and circulated his true qi. Caw caw caw. The stone door slowly opened. It was pitch black inside. Tang Zheng looked around and said, "Why is there nothing here? Why don't you go in and take a look?" The five-clawed golden dragon said. Tang Zheng hesitated for a moment, then lifted his foot and walked in. Bang! The stone door quickly closed with a loud muffled sound, which gave Tang Zheng a fright. He quickly calmed himself down and was on full alert. Boom! A green lamp lit up. The faint light finally allowed Tang Zheng to see the scene in the stone room. Immediately, he could not help but exclaim, "Aw!" The sound echoed in the stone room. It was frightening. At this moment, Tang Zheng was both shocked and frightened. This was because he clearly saw that in the middle of the stone room, there was a praying mat. And on the praying mat sat a person. Yes, there was another person in this stone room. That was why Tang Zheng had such a big reaction when he stepped on it. Tang Zheng stared at this person dumbfoundedly. His hair and beard were snow white. He looked like a celestial being in a painting. His hands were tightly closed as he sat cross-legged on the praying mat. It was as if he was unconscious. Tang Zheng was bewildered. He did not know whether the other person was dead or alive, so he asked cautiously, "Who are you?" He asked 3 times in a row, but the other person did not respond. Tang Zheng was puzzled. Could it be that this person was already dead, but his body had not decomposed? Tang Zheng could not be completely baffled by a guy who could not move. So he took a deep breath and walked straight over. He leaned in front of the other person and reached out to check his breathing. Suddenly, the closed eyes suddenly opened. It was as if a breathtaking gaze shot out. Tang Zheng subconsciously took 3 steps back before he could stabilize his body. He cried out involuntarily, "You're still alive." The 5-clawed golden dragon had been imprisoned here for hundreds of years. If this person was still alive, then he must have lived without water for hundreds of years. This was too incredible. The old man's eyes were like lightning. He stared at Tang Zheng and asked in an unfriendly tone, "Who are you? Why are you here?" "Junior Tang Zheng." "May I ask who senior is?" Tang Zheng asked cautiously. "Ignorant junior, you trespassed here. Do you want to let the 5-clawed golden dragon go?" The old man asked fiercely. "No." Tang Zheng flatly denied. "Do you know that if the 5-clawed golden dragon escapes, then the emperor can no longer continue to absorb the dragon qi? This is destroying the imperial dragon vein. Can you afford to take the blame?" The old man asked arrogantly. Emperor, dragon vein." Tang Zheng's eyelids twitched. Did this old man stay underground for too long? He did not know the changes on the surface and thought that there was an emperor and dragon vein. "Quickly leave, or you will be in danger. Then don't blame me for not reminding you," the old man said to himself. Tang Zheng did not retreat. He came here for the heaven and earth obsidian. How could he give up halfway like this? So he asked in a deep voice, "Senior, Junior has disturbed and offended you. But today is different from the past. There is no longer an emperor. Times have changed. I came here to find the heaven and earth obsidian. Please tell me. Ignorant Junior, quickly leave. Do you really want to die here? The old man's tone became more and more fierce, making it difficult to breathe. Tang Jing secretly operated his true qi and said calmly, Senior, please don't blame me. If Senior knows anything about the heaven and earth obsidian, please tell me. Then I will leave this place immediately. The old man turned a deaf ear and continued to berate with a murderous aura, quickly leave, quickly leave. Tang Zhang's eyes revealed a strange look. This old man kept repeating and forcing him to leave, but ignored his question. This was not good. He could not return empty-handed. Tang Zhang was also skilled and bold. Instead of retreating, he took large strides towards the old man. His heart was beating like a drum. This old man was too mysterious. Tang Zhang could not figure out his strength. The old man remained as still as a pine tree, but his voice was powerful and resonant as he said, Quickly retreat, Senior, don't you feel tired talking like this? You're like a repeater. Tang Jing joked, but the old man still repeated the same words. When Tang Jing carefully walked in front of the old man still did not move. His mouth kept repeating the same words. Tang Zhang's heart trembled. He suddenly had an illusion that this old man was not a living person, but a machine like a repeater. Senior, if you don't say anything, then I can only offend you. Seeing that the old man was just shooting his mouth off, Tang Jing slightly relaxed his vigilance. He reached out to grab the old man's shoulder. Tang Jing was completely focused, afraid that the old man would counterattack. However, when his hand landed on the old man's shoulder, the old man still did not react. However, Tang Zhang's reaction was very big. Because he grabbed empty air, the shoulder turned into specks of light. They scattered in his hand and quickly disappeared. Ah! Tang Jing suddenly realized and cried out involuntarily, Illusion, this is an illusion. It's just that it's too realistic. I actually fell for it. No wonder he kept repeating those words like a repeater. It's not a real person at all. His voice came to an abrupt end. The old man's entire body turned into specks of light and dissipated in the air. It was like thousands of fireflies flying out of the stone room. It was incomparably gorgeous. Tang Jing did not know whether to laugh or cry. The old man had really put in a lot of effort to use such an illusion to trick him. If he had not persevered, he would have really been scared away. However, from this illusion, it could be seen how powerful this old man was. An illusion could last for hundreds of years like a real person. This kind of skill was too rare. No wonder a divine creature like the five-clawed golden dragon was imprisoned here. This old man's cultivation was ridiculously high. Tang Zhang could not help but sigh. The specks of light completely dissipated, and the lamp also went out with a whoosh. However, the stone room did not turn pitch black. Instead, a bit of gentle white light spread out from the bottom of his feet. Not long later, the stone room was enveloped in white light. This white light was not dazzling at all. It was extremely gentle and seemed familiar. Tang Jing blurted out, Heaven and Earth Xian Stone. Yes, this was the light emitted by the Heaven and Earth Xian Stone. It was exactly the same as what he had seen in the Witch Clan's plaza. Tang Jing immediately followed the source of the light and found that it came from underground. The ground was made of stone slabs, and the light came from the gaps between the stone slabs, illuminating this small space. The Heaven and Earth Xian Stone is underground. Tang Jing was overjoyed. Judging from the light, there should be a lot of Heaven and Earth Xian Stone. My luck is really good this time. It's all thanks to Professor Qi's reminder. Tang Zhang was overjoyed. He had an idea and thought that since the heaven and earth Xian stone was the core of the formation, it must be related to the survival of the formation. If he took out these heaven and earth Xian stones, the power of the formation would decrease sharply. Then wouldn't the five-clawed golden dragon be able to break out of the prison? He had promised to save the five-clawed golden dragon, but according to the five-clawed golden dragon, he needed to reach the semi-god realm to do so. But now, a miracle seemed to have happened. Without the cultivation of the semi-god realm, he could help the five-clawed golden dragon break through the shackles. The key was to take out these heaven and earth Xian stones. Tang Zheng was extremely excited. After a long while, he calmed down and circulated his genuine qi. His power was instantly raised to the peak, and he struck out with his palms. Boom! Boom! The two palms hit the floor with a dull sound. In an instant, the earth shook and the mountains shook. Tang Zheng's body hit the wall with a whoosh. The stone room also shook violently, as if there was an earthquake. Chapter 454. Tens of thousands of lights were lit up, and the sound of alarms resounded through the sky. Many people rushed to the streets. Many of them were still naked, only wrapped in blankets. They looked at each other in horror and asked, "Earthquake? It must be an earthquake." The great earthquake in the West a few years ago had caused the people of this country to fall into a state of panic over earthquakes. Where did it shake this time? Everyone shook their heads blankly. Fortunately, the ground had stopped shaking, and the anger of the earth seemed to have stopped. However, no one dared to go home. They all stood on the streets, accepting the baptism of the cold wind. At this moment, the earthquake bureau was in a mess. There was a huge earthquake in the capital, but they did not know about it at all. They did not even have the slightest warning. The test shows that the vibration started from the imperial city, and the vibration waves also spread from the imperial city. The staff wiped the cold sweat off his forehead and reported loudly. Imperial City. How could that be? The capital is not in the earthquake zone, and the Imperial City is the center of the capital, so it is even more impossible for an earthquake to happen. Some experts questioned. But now, it was useless to just doubt. They had to figure out the ins and outs of the matter. The phone was already ringing non-stop. These were all people who wanted to ask about the situation, but the Earthquake Bureau did not know anything. Send someone to the scene immediately. In the Imperial City, Wu was waiting for the rabbit, but she was shocked by the shaking of the earth. However, the shaking quickly stopped. Her heart was in a mess. How could there be an earthquake? Suddenly, she had an idea. Could it be that this had something to do with Tang Zheng? She was shocked by this thought. What ability did Tang Zheng have to cause such a huge earthquake? But if it wasn't him, who else could cause such a huge commotion? Moreover, as someone who was at the scene, she could clearly feel that the earthquake had started from the Imperial City. She looked towards the well-arranged group of palaces, and her gaze narrowed as she locked onto a direction. The vibration is coming from there. I have to go take a look. Whiz! With a leap, Marshall flew out like a lark, rapidly advancing between the palaces. At this moment, Tang Zheng finally stood firm on his feet. He looked up and saw that the floor was not damaged at all. The soft white light still seeped through the cracks of the stone. Let's try again. I don't believe that I can't get the heaven and earth black stone out. Tang Zheng clenched his teeth. This time, he did not use his hands, but took out the heaven-shocking bow and the shooting sun arrows. Skywalker, what are you doing? The five-clawed golden dragon's voice came from outside the stone door. It was very weak. Obviously, the soundproofing effect of the stone door was good. What happened? You made the entire capital quake, do you know that? The five-clawed golden dragon said. What? Earthquake. Tang Jing thought that it was just the stone room shaking a little. He didn't expect that it would cause an earthquake in the entire capital. This movement was too big. I found the heaven and earth black stone, but it's buried underground. I just wanted to get it out, but I didn't succeed. Tang Jing said. The five-clawed golden dragon pondered for a moment. Then, he said, quickly think of a way to get the heaven and earth black stone. That way, we can break this array formation. Then, I can escape. But under my attack, there was no effect. The five-clawed golden dragon urged, then use a stronger attack, use a magic treasure. Just as Tang Jing was about to try again, a thought suddenly flashed through his mind, and he immediately stopped his hand. What are you still dawdling for? The five-clawed golden dragon realized that there was no movement for a long time and asked. Just now, when I attacked with my bare hands, the entire capital experienced an earthquake. If I were to use a stronger attack, would it cause an even greater commotion, or even cause a huge earthquake, causing the entire city to fall into a calamity? Tang Jing was shocked by his own thoughts. It was true that he wanted to save the five-clawed golden dragon, but he would not sacrifice the lives of countless people. What will happen if I forcefully take out the heaven and earth black stone? Tang Jing asked loudly. The five-clawed golden dragon paused for a moment, then said, There are no consequences. You're lying. The capital will definitely be greatly affected, right? Tang Jing asked coldly. The five-clawed golden dragon was silent. It was obvious that he agreed with this result. So it's like this. Fortunately, I thought a little more, otherwise it would cause a disaster, then I would regret it to death. Tang Jing said with lingering fear. Skywalker, saving me is a top priority. You can't miss this great opportunity. There are thousands of people in this world, sacrificing a few is inevitable. The five-clawed golden dragon advised. Tang Jing sneered, pushed open the stone door and walked out. Looking at the five-clawed golden dragon, he said, You are really ruthless. Using the lives of so many people in exchange for your freedom. The five-clawed golden dragon angrily said, Why didn't you do anything? I can't save you, but sacrificing the lives of countless people. Tang Jing said coldly. If you give up this opportunity, then I will be trapped here for countless days. Then you will continue to be trapped here. Tang Jing was not afraid. You! The five-clawed golden dragon roared. A gust of wind blew as it rushed towards Tang Jing. Its huge dragon mouth seemed like it wanted to swallow Tang Jing. Tang Jing, however, did not move an inch as he stared straight at it. Squeak! Xiao Bai jumped in front of Tang Jing and bared its teeth at the five-clawed golden dragon, stopping it from moving. The huge dragon head stopped in front of Tang Jing. Staring at each other, the five-clawed golden dragon asked, Are you really not afraid of me? Because I am afraid of you, I have to sacrifice the lives of countless people. Although I am not a saint, I can't be so cold-blooded and merciless. Tang Jing was not moved. The five-clawed golden dragon breathed out. It was obvious that it was extremely angry. I am very suspicious as to why that person imprisoned you here. I think it is not as simple as just letting the Emperor absorb your dragon chi to strengthen the dragon vein. Tang Jing asked. A trace of panic flashed through the five-clawed golden dragon's huge eyes. It said, What other reason could there be other than that? This is the shamelessness of humans, so it doesn't matter how many people die, I am very happy. Tang Jing sneered, I am also a human. You are a Skywalker, you are no longer a human. The five-clawed golden dragon retorted. Tang Jing shook his head, You know that I am not a human, I want to continue being a human, so don't even think about it. I know that the heaven and earth mystic stone is here. As for saving you, when I reach the soul formation stage, I will naturally break this formation and save you. That way, I will not sacrifice the lives of others, and you will also be able to escape. It is killing two birds with one stone. I did not break my promise to you. The five-clawed golden dragon took a deep breath. It was as if all the air in the hall was sucked into its stomach. It stared closely at Tang Zhang and said, "You are ruthless." Tang Zhang's mouth hooked up into a smile. He believed that the five-clawed golden dragon would make the right decision. It had waited for hundreds of years and finally had this opportunity. It certainly would not kill Tang Zhang to vent its anger. It needed him. Just now, I saw an illusion inside. It was a white-haired old man with a transcendent aura. Who was he? Tang Zhang asked. It was that old man. He was the one who trapped me here. The five-clawed golden dragon's eyes widened as it flew into a rage. I guessed it was him, but it was just an illusion. It has already disappeared. Humph, if he was not already dead, I would have eaten him alive. The five-clawed golden dragon said angrily. Back then, you weren't even his match. What are you talking about? Tang Zhang curled his lips and said disdainfully, ignoring the five-clawed golden dragon's anger, he said, I caused such a big commotion, the capital will definitely be in an uproar. Someone will come here, I'll leave first. Xiao Bai, are you leaving? Xiao Bai shook his head. Tang Zhang returned to the main hall. Just as he walked out of the palace, he saw a figure shooting towards him. His pupils constricted and his entire body trembled. However, when he saw the other party's appearance, he heaved a sigh of relief. Why haven't you left yet? Tang Zhang asked in surprise. Marshall stared at him with a complicated expression and asked, Were you the one who caused the earthquake just now? Tang Zhang declined to comment and said, There will definitely be countless people rushing over here soon. Let's leave this place first. Seeing that he did not admit it, Marshall coldly snorted and said, What's so strange about this place? Also, where did you go just now? As she spoke, she raised her head to look at the palace behind him. However, at the beginning, she had also investigated the palace, but she did not find anything. Marshall was full of suspicion, but Tang Zhang had already rushed out of the imperial city. She had no choice but to follow. Not long after, the alarm came from afar and the police arrived. However, there were a few black shadows that were even faster than the authorities. So. The sound of something tearing through the air was like arrows piercing through the night sky. In an instant, they crossed the tall city walls and stood on top of the tall palace. Not long after, 3 people gathered on top of the palace. They were Yi Xuanji, Yan Qishan, and another white-haired old man. This white-haired old man was not an ordinary person. He was the head of the Song family, Song Jianan, who was also Song Yu's grandfather, a martial artist of the Great Master Realm. Yan Qishan looked deeply at Yi Xuanji and asked, Yeah, family head, do you know what caused this earthquake? Yi Xuanji's eyes were as serious as the night, and he said in a deep voice, I sensed that the tremors were caused by this place, but now I don't feel anything at all. This is definitely not an earthquake. Someone caused it, and it's in the imperial city. Hee, what a big deal. Song Jianan laughed strangely. Brother Jianan, in your opinion, who in the capital can have such great ability? Yi Xuanji asked. Song Jianan looked towards Yan Qishan and said, As everyone knows, in the capital, Yan Potion's cultivation is the highest, so if you ask who is most likely to do this, it can only be him. Seeing that the spearhead was pointed at his father, Yan Qishan immediately denied it. 2 patriarchs, my father is currently in closed-door cultivation, how could he possibly do such a thing? Moreover, with my father's cultivation, he might not be able to do such a big commotion. Oh, if even your father is unable to do it, then who else could it be? Could it be that another expert has come to the capital? Song Jianan said meaningfully, He looked deeply at Yi Xuanji, and said, "Isn't the Ye family related to cultivators? Could it be that some expert cultivator has come?" Yi Xuanji's face darkened, and said, "You can't speak carelessly, the Ye family has nothing to do with cultivators. As for Tang Jing, we have already cut off all ties with him." He, this is the good grandson-in-law you chose. If I were to meet him, I would definitely let him experience the methods of the Song family. Song Jia Nan said with a fake smile. Chapter 455. Yi Xuanji used to have a good relationship with Song Jinan, but ever since the engagement, the relationship between the two families had fallen apart and they gradually drifted apart. Hearing Song Jinan's words, Yi Xuanji's face darkened, and said, "Tang Zheng is no longer related to the Ye family. How you deal with it? What does it have to do with the Ye family?" You're quite clean. I just don't know if the martial sect will think so. Song Jinan said meaningfully. That's the truth. As for what the martial sect thinks, I can't control it. If the martial sect really wants to do something to the Ye family, my Ye family will accept it all. Yi Xuanji said firmly. Song Jinan sneered, but did not comment. When Yan Qishan saw this scene, his emotions fluctuated greatly, because the Yan family's attitude towards Tang Zheng was also divided into two factions. One of them was him, who believed that he should keep a respectful distance from Tang Zheng. The other faction was unexpected. It was actually his sister Yan Qingyi and his son Yan Luyun. This pair of aunt and nephew actually stood on the side of Tang Zheng, believing that it was impossible for Tang Zheng to lose just like that. This was truly puzzling. Even Yan Podin remained silent, and in the end, decided to wait and see. The situation in the capital is getting more and more confusing. There's actually an aura of a great change. I really can't see through it. Yan Qishan thought to himself. Patriarchs, our top priority is to find out what's going on with this earthquake. This is the capital's land, and with such a big thing happening, the officials will not ignore it. They will definitely ask for the opinions of our families. Yan Qishan said in a deep voice. What Qishan said is extremely true. This is the most important thing right now. As for discussing other unimportant people, it would be putting the cart before the horse. Yi Xuanji said with a cold smile. Of course, Song Jinan knew that Yi Xuanji was talking about him, and said indifferently, I don't think there's any difference between these two matters. With such a huge commotion, only cultivators are the biggest suspects, and the well-known cultivator in the capital is Tang Zheng. If we don't look for him, who else can we look for? If you don't go, my Song family will naturally appear, As soon as he finished speaking, Song Jinan was like a whirlwind, breaking through the air from the palace and disappearing into the night in the blink of an eye. Yi Xuanji retracted his gaze and asked, Qian, your father is in seclusion, is he about to break through again? Yan Qishan smiled faintly and said, nothing can be hidden from Patriarch Yi. My father has realized something and is indeed trying. He to the Yan to the clan, to the head of the few great clans, and the leader, the Yan family to be even to the head to, the position to the head to the head, the status as the head, the position as the head of the few great families' clans. He couldn't help but feel a little annoyed. It wasn't easy for him to break through to the first level of the supreme power realm, but he hadn't made any progress in the past 6 months, which made him quite annoyed. Tang Jing, that brat's cultivation speed is like 1,000 miles a day, why don't I have it? He could not help but envy Tang Jing. At this time, the police and the people from the Earthquake Bureau also arrived at the imperial city. Yi Xuanji and Yan Qishan did not stay any longer and broke through the air, leaving behind the officials to carry out a large number of tests. However, in the end, it was to no avail as they did not find a single clue. Although they could confirm that the source of the earthquake was here, the instruments could not detect anything at all. How could they report this to the higher-ups? As for the person involved, Tang Jing did not care about how others reported this. He was already stunned by the scene along the way. The streets were filled with people with disheveled clothes, all of them panicking and looking as if they were ready to run for their lives at any time. Tang Jing felt a little guilty. These people were originally sleeping in their beds, but they were tossed awake in the middle of the night in this cold weather. This made him even more determined not to touch the heaven and earth magnetite. After all, it was not like it could run away. As for the heaven and earth magnetite in the Southern Sea Dragon Palace, he was not in a hurry to find it. The final exam was just around the corner. He could not possibly skip the exam in the first semester, or else his grandfather would definitely be sad. He must give his grandfather a satisfactory result. Moreover, Mu Hongyan's business plan was about to take off and required a large amount of money. He should be thinking about money now. And this problem could only fall on the life-continuing pill. What he needed was not a few million, but hundreds of millions of funds. It was impossible to achieve without taking out some treasures. The life-continuing pill was undoubtedly a treasure. For those rich people, if it could increase their lifespan by 10 years, they would definitely agree to give up half of their family fortune. Since Tang Jing had already exposed his identity as a cultivator, he did not mind taking out such a heaven-defying thing. Of course, the quantity could not be too much. After all, it was a rare commodity. He had to make those people fight over the life-continuing pill. Furthermore, they were willing to give the money to Tang Jing as if they were begging their grandparents. This was the true meaning of standing and earning money. When they arrived outside of Lu Qingmei's neighborhood, Marshall could not help but ask, "Are you planning to keep silent? What exactly did you do to cause such a huge commotion?" Tang Jing stopped in his tracks, stared at her and said, "Everyone has their own secrets, why should I tell you?" This was already a disguised admission that he was the one who did it. Of course, even if he did not admit it, Marshall had already determined that he was the one who did it. "Do you know that you are playing with fire? With such a big commotion, do you think you can hide it from others?" Marshall asked angrily. "As long as you don't say it, no one else will know," Tang Jing said without thinking much of it. Even if I don't say it, others can guess that it's you. It's very difficult for a martial artist to cause such a big commotion. Only you mysterious cultivators can do it," Marshall said snappily. Tang Jing shrugged his shoulders. "What's the use of guessing that it's me? In any case, I won't admit it. What you're doing is a huge threat to the government and the country. They won't sit idly by," Marshall warned. Tang Jing smiled bitterly. He had just saved countless lives. According to the five-clawed golden dragon's nature, he would have directly broken through the formation. That would have been a huge loss of life. However, of course, he would not explain this. He said indifferently, "If the government wants to find me, then go ahead. In any case, it's not the first time I've dealt with them. It's too late, so I won't invite you upstairs to sit." Tang Jing walked into the district with large strides. Marshall did not follow, but at the moment, the district was very lively. When Tang Jing walked downstairs, he coincidentally met Lu Qingmei. She was wrapped in a bedsheet. Previously, she had a big battle with Tang Jing and then fell asleep without wearing any clothes. After the tremors began, she got up and wrapped herself in a bedsheet. Then, she carried Nana and rushed downstairs. "Big brother." When Nana saw Tang Jing, she opened her arms and threw herself into Tang Jing's embrace. Tang Jing hugged Nana. The girl was not afraid at all. Instead, she excitedly waved her little fists and said, "Big brother, there was an earthquake just now." "It's not an earthquake. Let's go home." Tang Jing pinched her cheek and comforted her. Lu Qingmei cast a questioning gaze. Tang Jing signaled with his eyes that she did not need to worry and then went upstairs. When the others saw that someone was going upstairs, they also went upstairs one after another. Of course, there were also people who directly set up tents in the district. After comforting Nana to sleep, Lu Qingmei snuggled into Tang Zheng's embrace and asked, "What happened?" Tang Zheng recounted what happened in the imperial city. Lu Qingmei was shocked when she heard it. She patted her chest with lingering fear and said, "It's too scary." Fortunately, you thought a little more. Otherwise, it would have caused a disaster tonight. Yeah, so this five-clawed golden dragon is not that trustworthy. The dragon clan is too mysterious. We have to be careful. Tang Jing sighed. You have so many problems now, but I can't help you. I feel too useless. Lu Qingmei's expression darkened as she said dejectedly. Tang Jing rolled his eyes and said with a mischievous smile, "Who said you can't help me?" As he said that, he stretched out his devil's claws and sneaked into the sheets. Ah! Lu Qingmei cried out in alarm. Her face blushed red. Not long after, the waves rolled around. In the morning, Tang Zheng left the district alone. Due to the big commotion last night, Lu Qingmei's company informed her to take a day off to avoid another aftershock. Therefore, Nana stayed at home and let her take care of her. On the street, there were still many people discussing what happened last night. The television stations and radio stations on the street also took turns to broadcast the news. However, it was all the Earthquake Bureau that refuted the rumors, saying that it was not an earthquake this time. However, the people did not believe the words of the experts and the Earthquake Bureau these days. There were still many people who continued to stay outside. Tang Zheng did not know whether to laugh or cry at this scene. He really wanted to shout that everything was over, but that would definitely make him look like a lunatic. It was near the end of the semester and the classes were already over. This semester, Tang Zheng's number of classes was pitifully small. His grades in class were terrible. If he wanted to get good grades, he had to submit a perfect exam result. Moreover, he was the top scorer in the college entrance examination. If he did too badly, he would definitely become a laughingstock. What did Yenqing University lack the most? That was students with good grades, talents, and even top students. There was no lack of top students. Tang Zheng used to be the top scorer in a province. If he wanted to stand out in this final exam, he would have to put in a lot of effort. Although he had a photographic memory, there was a lot of knowledge that had to be learned and used flexibly. Rote memorization might not be useful. In addition, although he was a freshman, many top students were already doing research in the laboratory. They had their own research topics and research directions. In this aspect, Tang Zheng was lagging behind too much. This caused some criticism. His mentor was Qi Shaowen, a great figure. However, Tang Zheng did not have a single thesis. This was a little embarrassing for his mentor. Some people secretly criticized Professor Qi for being blind to have picked such an embroidered pillow like Tang Zheng. Although Tang Zheng was in school, these words had reached his ears through the mouths of the members of the 502. Man strives for dignity, and Buddha strives for an incense stick. Although he did not care about these false reputations, he did not care about any theses. After all, his mentor was Qi Shaowen. Moreover, Qi Shaowen treated him very well. He did not want to tarnish his mentor's reputation. Therefore, Tang Zheng had to work hard. He did not want to be a top student. Instead, he wanted to be a top student. He carried a bag of professional course books to the library. He took a seat and reviewed the textbooks one by one. He read very quickly. It could be said that he read 10 lines at a glance. Like a scanner, he flipped through the books continuously. Chapter 456. Many pairs of eyes looked at Tang Jing in suspicion or surprise, then looked at each other. Was this brother here to perform? There was no need to use such a clumsy method to attract beauties, because one could tell with a single glance that it was fake. Who could read so fast? Tang Jing was immersed in the sea of knowledge, completely unaware of it. In the end, when he finished reviewing the textbooks he brought, he was still unsatisfied, and there were still some knowledge points that he could not understand, so he went to the bookshelf at the side to look for relevant books to continue learning. He was like a learning maniac, a state that no other god of learning could compare to. Knowledge was like oxygen, quickly being absorbed by him and stored in his mind. One of the biggest characteristics of him reading was that he did not take notes, but when other students saw important knowledge, they would record it in their notebooks. As the saying goes, a good memory is not as good as a bad pen. No matter how good a person's memory was, there would always be times when they would forget. However, Tang Jing had completely broken this rule. Because of his cultivation, his mind had already been developed a second time, and his memory was extremely strong, so he did not have to worry about forgetting it all. Finally, someone recognized this once famous figure in the school and exclaimed, "Isn't he the champion of the martial arts assembly?" "Right, what's his name again?" "Tang Jing, right, his name is Tang Jing Sigma. I haven't seen any trace of him in this period of time. I thought he had gone somewhere. Why did he appear again today?" "Putting on a show, he must be putting on a show to deceive the little girl. Look at those girls, they're all looking at him." Someone discussed. "That must be it. He's really crazy, using this kind of method to make his presence known. This is precisely the performance of his stupidity. Who would believe that he's reading a book? Yes, that makes sense." Phew. Tang Jing heaved a sigh of relief. He had finally finished reading the relevant knowledge, and woke up from his intoxicated state, just in time to hear the chattering sounds of discussion. The corner of his mouth curled up as he smiled indifferently. Just as he was about to ignore them and leave, he saw a person walking straight towards him. "Ah!" Cries of surprise rang out, and the discussions became even more intense. "That's Ding Xiaowan. Why did she walk over? Could it be that she was attracted by such poor acting skills?" Someone was indignant and in disbelief. "I remember that Tang Jing is from the archaeology department, and Ding Xiaowan was originally from the archaeology department as well. However, I don't know what happened later on, but they transferred to another academy. He must know him, so go and greet him. Tell him not to continue with such a clumsy performance, so as to not become a joke." "Yes, that must be it." Hearing that, Tang Jing raised his eyebrows. He was not angry, but surprised. It had indeed been a while since he last saw Ding Xiaowan. Ding Xiaowan had met him on the train, and the process was not pleasant. Tang Jing had once judged her as a brainless fan of Takashi. She had a good relationship with Takashi, but after Takashi was possessed by the demon god and killed her two good friends, she still insisted that it was Tang Jing who did it. Later on, she almost died in the hands of the demon god. Fortunately, Tang Jing saved her and she was sent to the hospital. After that, the two never met again. It seemed that her injuries had already healed and she had even transferred to another department. Tang Jing did not have much of a good or bad impression of her. Although the other party was beautiful, Tang Jing had seen too many beauties, and his eyes had long since been raised to the point that he could directly ignore her. He pretended not to see it and started to pack up his books. Just as he was about to leave, he saw Ding Xiaowan sitting down beside him, staring at him with a burning gaze, and said, "Tang Jing, I have something to say to you." As Tang Jing packed up, he said, "Speak." "Thank you for saving me last time. It's just along the way," Tang Jing said indifferently. Ding Xiaowan squeezed out a lonely smile, and said, "That person is no longer Takashi, right?" Tang Jing raised his head and looked at her, only to discover that her eyes were filled with pain. But thinking about it, she definitely had a good impression of Gao Daji, but the other party wanted to kill her. This kind of huge reversal was hard to accept. Yes. Tang Jing nodded. He's no longer in this world. Yes. Ding Xiaowan's entire body seemed to have been sucked out of him as he sat paralyzed on the chair. After a long while, he finally came back to his senses and said, I still have to apologize to you. I misunderstood you in the past. I'm not that petty. Tang Jing shrugged, if there's nothing else, I'll be leaving. The way you were reading just now was a little strange. Everyone else was discussing it. Ding Xiaowan kindly reminded him. Tang Jing said indifferently, I know, but I don't care what others say. Ding Xiaowan had no choice but to admit that Tang Jing was such a unique person. Recalling the bits and pieces that they knew, Ding Xiaowan had no choice but to admit that she had misjudged him. The other party was very powerful, and it was against common sense, causing people to be extremely shocked. She had to admit that Tang Jing was much stronger than her. Let's go together. Ding Xiaowan said. Let's go. Tang Jing ignored the murderous gazes of the others, he could even hear the sound of many people's hearts breaking. Perhaps in the eyes of many people, Ding Xiaowan was both a top student and a goddess, but in Tang Jing's eyes, she was still too stupid. In the end, he was not interested in women who were too stupid. Under the watchful eyes of the crowd, the two of them walked out of the library together, but the library was in an uproar. Many people were discussing, this kind of method of picking up girls was also effective. Could it be that all the girls nowadays were so easy to pick up? A few days later, a strange scene appeared in the library. Some boys quickly flipped through the books like a scanner. Unfortunately, all they received were supercilious looks, and not a single girl favored them. Tang Jing and Ding Xiaowan parted ways after leaving the library. With regards to Ding Xiaowan's invitation to have a meal together, he rejected it without hesitation. It was already late, so he put the books back in his room and walked towards Lu Qingmei's house. Just as he walked out of the school gate, an off-road vehicle stopped in front of him. The door opened and a black-faced man walked down. He said with a face full of smiles, "You are Tang Jing." Tang Jing nodded, "Yes, who are you?" "My name is Blackie." Blackie. Tang Jing thought for a while, then suddenly realized, Scarface mentioned you before. Back then, when they were at the bar, Scarface had suspected that Tang Jing was one of Blackie's men, deliberately causing trouble. This meant that Blackie was also someone from the underworld of the capital. Hearing that, Blackie was flattered and said excitedly, "You know me? What an honor. What business do you have with me? I'm here to thank you for helping me get rid of Scarface. He's my sworn enemy, and I've tried to get rid of him many times, but to no avail. I didn't expect you to help me so easily." Blackie said with a smile. Tang Jing did not care about the grudge between the other party and Scarface at all, and said, "Is there nothing else?" Seeing that Tang Jing was unwilling to say more, Blackie hurriedly said, "Qin Batian is my big brother." "Qin Batian, you're his younger brother?" Tang Jing asked in surprise. "No, I'm his little brother. It's just that my big brother doesn't care about the underworld anymore, so I'll take care of it," Blackie explained. Tang Jing was suddenly enlightened. He knew that Qin Batian was originally from the underworld, and relied on his own abilities to make a name for himself in the capital. However, after that, he washed his hands of the gold basin and no longer managed the matters of the underworld. It seemed that he had unintentionally helped his little brother. Tang Jing revealed a trace of a smile and said, "Since you're his little brother, then there's no need to be so courteous. It's just a small matter." Blackie let out a sigh of relief, thinking that his big brother's name was indeed useful. He said, "I'm here to tell you something. Scarface is from the Chu clan, and even though you've gotten rid of him, the Chu clan may not let this matter rest." You have to be careful. Chu clan. Tang Jing wrinkled his eyebrows, as he did not have a good impression of the Chu clan. Both sides had already crossed swords several times, and were mortal enemies. This time, he had unintentionally gotten rid of someone from the Chu clan. According to their style, they would definitely not let this matter rest. However, Tang Zhang was not afraid. Since he was not afraid of the Long clan, then naturally he would not be afraid of the Chu clan. Thank you for telling me this. Tang Jing nodded his head. I just told Big Brother about this matter, and Big Brother said that he will personally go to the Chu clan to make peace, hoping to appease the Chu clan's anger. Blackie said. He went to the Chu clan. Why did he have to mobilize so many people? Big Brother said that you saved sister-in-law's life, so he definitely can't let the Chu clan vent their anger on you. Blackie said. Tang Jing sighed. With Qin Baishan's ability, he definitely already knew his identity as a cultivator. However, at this crucial time, he still dared to go to the Chu clan to plead on his behalf. Qin Batian is truly a loyal man, worth befriending. Tang Jing sighed. His mind moved, and he said, bring me to the Chu clan. He was not afraid of the Chu clan, so there was no need for him to plead with them. If you go to the Chu clan, I'm afraid that it will ignite the Chu clan's anger. It will be like a sheep entering a tiger's den, and it will be very disadvantageous for you. Blackie advised. Hang, it won't be that easy to harm me. Just bring me there directly. Tang Zhang said unconcernedly. Seeing that he was so insistent, Blackie could only helplessly say, then get in the car. The off-road vehicle sped towards the Chu family. The Chu clan's residence was not in the city, but in the beautiful suburbs. Tang Zhang and He Zi were casually chatting when suddenly, his ears slightly trembled as he called out, be careful. So. The sound of something breaking through the air came from afar, and a ray of light flew over from the horizon. It was incomparably bright and resplendent like the sun. Blackie's speed was very fast, and he immediately turned the steering wheel. The car suddenly moved horizontally and stopped in the middle of the road. Pooh! A ripping sound rang out, and a wave of air rolled out. The car was pushed by a huge force, and it crashed into the side of the road. A gust of wind blew in from behind, and the two of them turned their heads to look. They saw that the back half of the car had already disappeared, and it flew far away. The car seemed to have been split in two by some kind of sharp weapon, and if it was not for the fact that they had hurriedly moved horizontally, this kind of power would have cut them in half. Even a golden immortal would not be able to save them. Blackie was still in shock, and he loudly cried out, "What happened?" This kind of attack was too terrifying. It did not seem like a bomb or rocket attack, but more like a sword that cut through the car. Chapter 457. The off-road vehicle broke apart, and the two of them reacted very quickly. They turned their heads to take a glance, then kicked open the car door and jumped out, looking at the road ahead warily. At this moment, a person was standing in the middle of the originally empty road. It was a skinny old man. He was like a bag of bones, exuding a sense of vicissitudes. However, his eyes were very bright, and killing intent flashed. In addition, he was holding a large saber in his hand. The blade was like snow, and it was suffused with a biting cold light. "Who are you?" Tang Zhang's eyes were like lightning as he stared at the other party and asked. "Hee, your reaction is quite fast. You actually escaped from this saber," the old man said with a laugh. However, his laughter was even more dry, as if it had been squeezed out from between the cracks of a stone. In addition, his appearance when he laughed was even more terrifying, causing people to panic. Hazy glanced at the large saber in the old man's hand in shock, revealing an expression of disbelief. That attack just now was actually caused by this large saber. This was too terrifying. To be able to split open a car with a single saber, what kind of divine weapon was this? However, Tang Zheng did not change his expression. He had already seen that this was indeed a treasured saber, but it could not be considered a divine weapon. The most important reason for it to have such power was that the other party's skills were sufficient, which was why this large saber could turn something rotten into something magical. As for who I am, let's see if you have the qualifications to know first. The old man's feet slipped, and he slid over a distance of several meters, directly arriving in front of the two of them. Hazy let out a low roar and threw out a punch, preparing to stop the other party. However, his collar was grabbed by Tang Zheng, and he came to an emergency stop. Tang Zheng's voice rang out behind him, "You're no match for him. Watch the battle from the side." Whoosh! Hazy was helplessly pulled to the side, and could only stare at the two people who were already approaching. Tang Zheng pointed out with a finger, and the dazzling blade had already reached the top of his head. Tang Zheng's finger touched the blade, and he lowered his body and slid under the blade, not being injured at all. "Ha, as expected, you have some ability." The old man's eyes lit up as if he had seen a predator. He turned his blade and attacked again. In the blink of an eye, the two of them had already exchanged dozens of blows. Although Tang Zheng had not yet been defeated, it was obvious that he was at a disadvantage. However, his swordsmanship was very exquisite, and he could often catch his opponent off guard and help him out at critical moments. The battle between the two was dazzling. Hazy watched as if he was intoxicated. He clicked his tongue and praised, "This kind of battle is too powerful. It's filled with the beauty of strength." However, the person involved did not feel much of a sense of beauty, at least not for Tang Zheng. He could already confirm that the other party was a grandmaster martial artist. There were not many martial masters in this world. Could it be that the other party was from the martial arts sect? But that was not right. Martial had always been by his side, so it was impossible for him to send someone else to kill him. Other than the martial sect, there was also the Li Palace and the Azure Dragon Palace. When Li Xiaotian left, she was deeply worried. She had seen so many mysterious things in the prehistoric Heavenly Tomb and the Buzhou Mountain that could not be revealed to outsiders. Perhaps she had already realized the power of cultivators, and perhaps she would send people to deal with him. Other than these few mysterious organizations, the only ones left were the few great families and the officials. Tang Zheng had seriously analyzed that for this country to be able to stabilize and flourish, it was impossible for it to be realized without a foundation. Although firearms were also a type of foundation, in the eyes of these ancient families and organizations, personal strength was the true foundation. This was a strength that no one else could snatch away. If the country was peaceful, then the officials would definitely raise experts. These experts would be their foundation and trump cards. When he was in southern Yunnan, although Tang Zheng had intimidated the military, he might not be able to intimidate the people in his residence. Therefore, he could not rule out the possibility that someone had sent an official expert to deal with him. No matter what the situation was, the only thing Tang Zheng could do was to resist and send a signal to others. "Tang Zheng, am not someone to be trifled with. Tang Zheng, you are not my match. Obediently accept your death." The old man sneered, his face stiff, like a zombie. "If you want me to die, this bit of ability might not be enough." Tang Zheng said in disdain. He soared into the air, a light flashed in his hand, and he had already pulled the bowstring of the heaven-shocking bow, knocked the shooting sun arrow on the bow, and aimed it at the old man. The old man did not dodge or give way, and said, "Legend has it that back then, your bow even injured the demon god. I was fortunate enough to see it, but I wonder if your bow is stronger, or if the blade in my hand is stronger." Tang Zheng remained unmoved, his fingers were as steady as the surface of an ancient well. Suddenly, his fingers released, and the shooting sun arrow released a buzzing sound, quickly shooting towards the old man. The old man's expression was serious as he praised, "Good weapon." Swoosh, swoosh, swoosh. The broadsword waved forward 3 times, and the chi in front of the old man was completely locked down by the broadsword. When the shooting sun arrow arrived in front of him, it affected the chi, and the broadsword accurately hit the shooting sun arrow. Ding! The shooting sun arrow bounced back. Tang Zheng leaped into the air, stretched out his long arm, grabbed the shooting sun arrow, and shot it out again. This time, there were actually 3 shooting sun arrows on the heaven-shocking bow. The 3 arrows shot out at the same time, from top to bottom, aiming straight for the old man's vital points. The old man's expression did not change, and he said, "Amazing, I'll let you take a look at my sunset blade technique." The sunset blade technique's blade pierced through the sky like the setting sun, erupting with a final dazzling light. This blade seemed to have used up all of his power. Actually, the sunset blade technique only had one move. It was a simple move, but it contained an enormous amount of power. It was much more powerful than the flashy blade techniques. At this moment, the broadsword turned into a setting sun, slashing down. Clang, clang, clang. The 3 arrows were completely blocked, but the broadsword's attack did not slow down, and actually attacked right in front of Tang Zheng's eyes. Tang Zheng's expression changed slightly. The 3 arrows were shot at the same time, but they were still unable to block the other party, and even gave the other party a chance to take advantage of it. This sunset blade technique was indeed extraordinary. However, he did not have the time to exclaim in surprise. Seeing that the broadsword was already in front of him, he did not have the time to pull the bowstring again. He grabbed forward with both hands, and a mental cultivation method suddenly circulated in his heart. A mysterious power spread out from his palms. The broadsword that was like a hot knife through butter stopped right in front of his nose. It was extremely dangerous. "What's going on?" The old man's expression suddenly changed as he cried out in alarm. He felt a strong suction force tearing at the broadsword, and it was a risk of slipping out of his hand at any time. Tang Zheng was too familiar with the mental cultivation method that was circulating on its own, because this was a set of mental cultivation methods from the demon clan. Back then, he had learned the only set of cultivation methods from the demon clan's jade tablet, heaven-devouring technique. This set of cultivation methods was not as vicious as the other cultivation methods of the demon clan. One only needed to cultivate silently. Back then, Tang Zheng had used the heaven-devouring technique to absorb items like chairs. Later on, because of the heaven-shocking bow and the sun-shooting arrows, this set of cultivation methods was gradually put aside. But at this moment, at the critical moment of life and death, this mental cultivation method actually circulated on its own. However, this was not what surprised him the most. What truly surprised him was that the power of the heaven-devouring technique had increased greatly. Even he could not help but be shocked by the boundless suction force. Whiz! The broadsword left his hand and the old man let out a strange cry of disbelief. He watched as his weapon disappeared into thin air in front of him, as if it had never appeared before. "What's going on?" The old man turned pale with fright. Tang Zheng could not answer this question. With his previous attainments in the heaven-devouring technique, it was impossible for him to devour the broadsword from the old man's hands. After all, a warrior's second life was their weapon. Some people even valued their weapon more than their own life. If the sword was destroyed, the person would die. If the blade was still there, the person would still be there. If the blade was broken, the person would still be there. This was the principle. One could imagine how difficult it was to snatch the weapon from the hands of a master stage warrior, but Tang Zheng did it in front of everyone's eyes. "He's the head of the Chu clan, Chu Chongyang." A cry of surprise broke the silence between the two. He shouted with a pale face. Of course, he did not know Chu Chongyang, but he had heard of the setting sun blade technique. This was the ultimate skill of the head of the Chu clan, and he was the only one in the Chu clan who knew this set of blade techniques. It was very difficult for ordinary people to see such an ultimate skill, but Hazy did not expect that he would have such an honor. However, he really did not want to have such an honor. He hoped that he would never see this set of blade techniques in his life, because seeing this set of blade techniques meant that the god of death was waving at him. Didn't Big Brother go to the Chu clan to make peace? Could it be that the negotiations broke down? Hazy thought in bewilderment. Chu Chongyang, who has not shown his face for many years, actually came personally to kill Tang Zheng. This is too much. Tang Zheng's heart moved, and he stared at the other person curiously. This person was actually the head of the Chu clan, no wonder he was so powerful. The enmity between him and the Ya clan could not be resolved, so it was not wrong for the other party to kill him. Therefore, Tang Zheng was not angry, but was slightly surprised. The other party was really willing to go all out to get the head of the Chu clan to act. What kind of technique did you use? Chu Chongyang came back to his senses and asked coldly. Tang Zheng picked up the shooting sun arrow and smiled faintly. You wouldn't know even if I told you. Cultivators are really mysterious and powerful, but because of this, it is all the more reason to eliminate you from this world. Chu Chongyang said with a murderous look. You don't even have a weapon, do you still think you can kill me? Tang Zheng asked in return. Although your spells are marvelous, your cultivation is definitely not as good as mine. Therefore, even without a weapon, you are still not my opponent. It is precisely because the Chu clan already has an enemy like you that we cannot let you continue to grow stronger. If we don't get rid of you now, there will be no end of trouble in the future, Chu Chongyang said firmly. Tang Zheng's eyes flashed coldly. The other party was really smart. He knew that the longer he waited, the harder it would be for the Chu clan to deal with him. Now was a golden opportunity. Since you are so confident, then come. Tang Zheng said without fear. Hazy was so scared that he trembled. His mouth and tongue were dry. They hadn't even started fighting yet, but they still had to fight. What should he do later? No, I have to contact Big Brother. Hazy was out of his wits. He secretly sent a message to Qin Badian, then leaned against the car window and stared at the two people. Chapter 458. Tang Zheng's pupils constricted, he stared fixedly at Chu Chongyang who was waiting for an opportunity to make a move. Seeing that the other party did not make a move, Tang Zheng sneered, if you don't move, I'll move. He grabbed at the air, and a strong suction force appeared in his palm. The power of the heaven-devouring technique was extraordinary. Just now, he had a flash of inspiration and finally understood why the heaven-devouring technique's power had increased explosively. Obviously, all of this had something to do with Chi Yu's heart. Chi Yu was the ancestor of the demon clan, so he definitely knew how to use the heaven-devouring technique. Coincidentally, Tang Zheng had also cultivated the heaven-devouring technique, which was why the power of this technique had increased so much. Seeing that Tang Zheng was attacking, Chu Chongyang had no choice but to counterattack. He pointed his finger, and a burst of qi shot out like a sharp arrow. Tang Zheng suddenly remembered that Tian Chanzi had once revealed a consummate skill. The sword qi had condensed into a materialized sword, shocking everyone at Yan Potion's birthday banquet. Chu Chongyang's attack only caused a violent fluctuation in the air, forming an invisible force in the air. However, Tang Zheng could clearly feel that this was not some sword technique, because there was not the slightest bit of sword intent within it. This is a finger technique. Tang Zheng cried out involuntarily. Humph, your eyes are not bad. This is the 6 yang divine finger, extremely masculine and masculine. Chu Chongyang raised his eyebrows and said proudly. This was the Chu family's ultimate skill, unlike the setting sun saber technique that Chu Chongyang had created himself. This 6-yang divine finger was the blood and sweat of many generations of the Chu family. Only the head of the family could cultivate it. Even Chu Mingxian had not cultivated it yet. This set of finger techniques had very strict requirements for the cultivator's body, and had to have sufficient yang qi. Chu Xiaofeng had once coveted this set of finger techniques, and had failed to succeed even after coaxing and pestering. Furthermore, his body had been hollowed out by wine and women, so cultivating this set of finger techniques was half the result with twice the effort. The force of the attack was the unique inner strength of the martial warriors. It was activated using a special method and circulation path, thus achieving the goal of lasting and great lethality. The most masculine and masculine, I don't think so. Tang Zheng gave up on using the heaven-gulfing technique. He waved his hand and a 4 symbols venerable appeared on the road out of thin air. Fortunately, this section of the road only led to the Chu clan's mansion, and no other vehicles passed by. Otherwise, the appearance of such a huge monster out of nowhere would definitely cause a huge panic. The 4 divine symbols was no longer a secret, so Tang Zheng had no qualms about using it. With a leap, he disappeared into the 4 divine symbols' body. The Reverend of 4 symbols raised his foot and stomped down on Chu Chongyang's head. Chu Chongyang pointed out with his finger. With a poof, the force landed on the Reverend of 4 symbols, but he was unharmed. However, the 4 symbols venerable's foot landed on his head. Chu Chongyang's face turned pale with fright and he rolled to the side. He was battered and exhausted. Ever since he became famous, he had never been in such a sorry state. He Zi, who was watching from the side, was already stunned. Just now, he was still worried about his gains and losses, and was prepared to run away if things went wrong. However, at this moment, the tables had turned, and Tang Zheng had actually turned into a giant. Is this an illusion? He Zi rubbed his eyes to make sure that this was not an illusion. He smacked his lips. Is this an immortal technique? This was indeed beyond the limits of an ordinary person's imagination. This was also beyond Chu Chongyang's expectations. He attacked a few more times, but he could not do anything to the 4 divine symbols. Not to mention bare-handed attacks, it was difficult for a normal weapon to leave a mark on the 4 divine symbols' body. The reason why Tang Zheng was so confident was because he had the 4 divine symbols as his guardian. In the past, the 4 divine symbols venerable protected the shaman tribe. Now, the 4 divine symbols venerable was protecting him. Since the other party was weak, then Tang Zheng would not be polite. With a loud roar, the roar came out from the 4 symbols venerable's chest. It was like the sound of thunder, rumbling, causing one's heart to pound like a bell. Bang! With a kick, sand and pebbles flew, and a huge pit appeared on the cement road. Chu Chongyang brushed past the pit by a hair's breadth. Dust covered his face, and he was covered in grime. When the first attack did not hit, another attack came, and it was endless. Although the 4 divine symbols venerable was a colossus, his agility was not low. He relied on his indestructible body to launch thunderous attacks. In the beginning, Chu Chongyang could still handle it with ease, but later on, he could not make ends meet. Danger surrounded him, and he became more and more miserable. He was so angry that his beard blew and his eyes widened. He shouted angrily, "Tang Zheng, what kind of sorcery is this? Didn't you want to kill cultivators? This is a cultivator's method. How about it? Can you still confidently kill me now?" Tang Zheng asked disdainfully. Chu Chongyang's face flushed red, and he could not say anything. Tang Zheng was delighted. These great clans really thought that he was number 1 in the world. They ordered him around arrogantly as if they were high and mighty. The Ya clan was like that, and so was the Chu clan. However, because of Yi Dingdang, he could choose to ignore the Ya clan, but the Chu clan was not so lucky. Moreover, they were sworn enemies, and the other party took the initiative to attack and wanted to kill him. Therefore, he would not show mercy at all. However, Chu Chongyang was a second-level Supreme Power Master after all. It was impossible to kill him easily. Chu Chongyang tried to attack a few more times, but he still failed. No, it's not good for me to go on like this. This guy is invincible with this colossus. I have to leave first and think of a way. This thought instantly made him make preparations to retreat. Although it was very difficult to make this decision, he was decisive and didn't hesitate. He turned around and rushed in the direction of his home. You want to escape? Tang Jing shouted angrily and chased after him. He Zi was stunned. A Supreme Power Master wanted to escape when facing Tang Jing. This was too crazy. Chu Chongyang's speed was very fast. Although the Four Symbols Venerable was not slow, he could not catch up with him. However, how could Tang Jing watch him escape? If he missed this great opportunity, who knew where Chu Chongyang would hide in the future? Therefore, Tang Jing moved his mind, and a cloud of black smoke jumped out from the chest of the Venerable Thought and chased after Chu Chongyang lightly. Chu Chongyang turned his head and found a cloud of black smoke chasing after him. He was shocked and said, "What kind of sorcery is this?" This cloud of black smoke was obviously faster than him. In the blink of an eye, it caught up with him and enveloped him. Oh no! He instinctively sensed the danger and used the 6 yang divine fingers. Puff, puff, puff. Waves of qi surged and blew away the black smoke. However, the black smoke seemed to have a consciousness. It gathered in an instant and attacked him head-on, wanting to envelop him. Chu Chongyang had no choice but to use the 6 yang divine fingers continuously. Fortunately, this set of martial arts was really powerful. He was able to disperse the black smoke by the skin of his teeth several times, saving his life. However, he still could not figure out what this black smoke was. Humans had an instinctive fear of unknown threats, so he became more and more flustered. After such a delay, he had no way to escape. The 4 Symbols Venerable Thought caught up with him. What the hell is this? Chu Chongyang roared in exasperation. Dragon trapping rope. It's something that can restrain you. However, it's really overkill. You're at most a worm, not a dragon. Tang Jing moved his mind, and the black smoke suddenly went straight down, turning into a thin line. It quickly wrapped around Chu Chongyang's ankle and then went straight up, wrapping around his entire body. Chu Chongyang heard this and flew into a rage. He was the head of a family, but he was jokingly called a worm. It was really humiliating. However, there was nothing he could do. Of course, he would not sit still and wait for death. Seeing the dragon trapping rope go straight up, wanting to bind his entire body, he gritted his teeth and flicked his fingers quickly. Swoosh, 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 gusts of wind shot toward the dragon trapping rope around his ankle. The dragon trapping rope trembled violently when it was hit. Although the dragon trapping rope was a magic weapon, it was not as indestructible as the 4 Symbols Venerable Thought. It was damaged by the attack and involuntarily relaxed a little. However, Chu Chongyang's situation was not optimistic. The 6 yang divine fingers did not all hit the dragon trapping rope. Some of them hit his ankle directly. He grimaced and sucked in a breath of cold air. Blood oozed from his ankle and dyed his trouser leg red. I haven't hurt you for many years. I didn't expect to be defeated by you today. Chu Chongyang roared hysterically. Tang Jing snorted and did not comment. He punched out. The 4 Symbols Venerable Thought's huge fist broke through the air and went straight for Chu Chongyang's head. Chu Chongyang's other foot touched the ground and retreated, dodging the attack. However, the four symbols' venerable thought followed him like a shadow and caught up with him. Chu Chongyang's leg was injured, and his speed was already on par with the four symbols' venerable thought, so there was no hope for him to escape. Chu Chongyang's face was as gloomy as ink. He thought to himself, could it be that I, Chu Chongyang, am really going to meet with Waterloo and lose my life in this brat's hands? He was unwilling, and could not accept this result. Stop! Suddenly, a furious roar sounded out, and a convoy rushed over aggressively. On the convertible at the front, there was a person standing high up, roaring at the four symbols' venerable thought. This person was Chu Mingxian. Back then, at Yan Potion's birthday banquet, Chu Mingshuan's bones were crushed by Tian Chanzi, and then he was cured by the king of medicine. Although a few months had passed, his cultivation had not completely recovered. He was originally pretending to be polite to Qin Badian, but unexpectedly, Qin Badian received a text message and was about to leave in a hurry. Just at this time, Chu Mingshuan's subordinates also came to report that there was an intense battle on the road not far from the mansion. Chu Mingxian originally knew that the patriarch had already gone to deal with Tang Jing, and immediately realized that this battle was definitely between the patriarch and Tang Jing. Since Qin Badian was in such a hurry, he must have received the news and wanted to rescue Qin Wendian. How could he allow Qin Badian to succeed? However, it wasn't good for him to obstruct Qin Badian directly. Hence, he led a large number of troops and charged out in an overbearing manner. If he could personally witness Tang Jing die in front of him, it would truly be a great joy in his life. But when he arrived, what he saw was a scene that he never would have dreamed of. Chu Chongyang was actually beaten up like a dog that had fallen into the water, and a huge monster had appeared at the scene. However, Chu Mingshuan's reaction was also very fast, and he immediately ordered, "Open fire, hit this monster." Bang, bang, bang. Chapter 459. Seeing that the enemy's reinforcements had arrived, Tang Zheng was even more unwilling to delay. With a stride, he stepped over Chu Chongyang's head. Chu Chongyang's charging body involuntarily stopped. He glared fiercely at the four symbols venerable who was blocking his way and roared angrily, "You really want to kill me? You want to kill me? Courtesy demands reciprocity. Of course I want to kill you." Tang Zheng roared with murderous intent. Just at this time, those few cars had already rushed in front of them. "Crash into them!" Chu Mingxian roared. The car engine immediately let out a low roar. The tires rubbed against the ground, causing waves of white light to spurt out. Long tire marks were left on the ground. The car sped up and directly crashed toward the four symbols venerable. Tang Zheng's expression did not change. With a kick, one of the cars flew into the air and flipped, smashing into a ball of flames in the distance. However, the other cars carried a huge amount of kinetic energy and crashed into the four symbols venerable's legs. The four symbols venerable staggered and swayed violently, almost falling down. Tang Zheng took a deep breath and roared, "You want to turn things around with just a few cars? You're looking down on me too much." The four symbols venerable threw out punches like rain. His fists rained down on the car under his feet. Pang, 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 the car was instantly turned into scrap metal. Tang Zheng's gaze trembled. He saw Chu Mingxian, who was not far away. He was standing on the convertible car, continuously pulling the trigger at the four symbols venerable. When he ran out of bullets, he was still pulling the trigger out of habit. Chu Mingxian, back then, Tian Chanzi said that you could be spared the death penalty, but you couldn't be forgiven. He spared your life. Today, you can't blame me. Tang Jing sneered. Chu Mingshuan's face turned pale. His breathing instantly quickened as he asked in disbelief, "You are Tang Jing? He, you have some insight." The four symbols venerable laughed. Chu Mingxuan's courage was shattered. This huge monster was actually that brat Tang Jing. Go to hell, Chu Mingxian. Tang Jing shouted. The four symbols venerable pounced over with large strides. Stay here. Seeing this, Chu Chongyang leaped up and landed on the four symbols venerable's body. Kicking off the ground with the tips of his feet, he soared up and reached the four symbols venerable's chest in an instant. Kill! Chu Chongyang roared furiously, and used 3 moves of 6 yang divine fingers in succession. Pang, 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 the force of qi crashed into the chest of the four symbols honored warrior. Tang Zheng wasn't worried at first, but after taking this attack, his heart started beating violently, and his blood seemed to be boiling. What's going on? Tang Zheng was aghast. In the past, the four divine symbols had suffered so many attacks, but he had never felt this way. Why was it so uncomfortable this time? The heart. Yes, Chu Chongyang is attacking the heart. It turns out that the four symbols warrior also has a gate of life, which is the heart. This is the most vulnerable part. If the enemy breaks through here, then the four symbols warrior will be completely destroyed. Tang Zheng was shocked by this discovery. He had thought that the four symbols warrior was invincible, but it turned out that he also had a weakness. He forcefully endured his roiling qi in blood. Stretching out a large hand, he grabbed at Chu Chongyang. Chu Chongyang somersaulted in the air, dodging this attack, and landed on the ground. Tang Zheng exhaled deeply, but didn't dare let his guard down. If he let the other party attack a few more times, then he would be in big trouble. However, because of Chu Chongyang's strong attack, Chu Mingxian escaped from the tiger's den, and retreated far away. The other car didn't retreat, because Qin Batian was sitting on it. He had already gotten out of the car, and was looking at the four symbols warrior dumbfoundedly. He wondered why Tang Zheng's voice would come out from this giant car. Could it be that he was controlling this big guy from inside? The methods of cultivators are really mysterious. Qin Batian sighed. Seeing the sorry state of the Chu family's father and son, he felt greatly relieved. The Chu family was showing off. Just now, he had taken the initiative to make peace, but the other party put on airs, obviously not agreeing. But now, they were beaten into a sorry state by Tang Zheng. It was really refreshing. But it was obvious that Tang Zheng had used a killing move, which meant that he wanted to kill the Chu family's father and son. Even Qin Batian didn't have this kind of determination. Although he had been doing well these past few years, he still didn't dare to directly become enemies with the few great families. But Tang Zheng had the guts to directly kill Chu Chongyang and Chu Mingxian. How much courage did this require? Qin Batian sighed at his own inferiority, but didn't have time to interfere. He only saw the four symbols warrior rush in front of Chu Chongyang again. One big and one small, quickly began to fight. Chu Chongyang relied on his agility, and although he wasn't a match for the four symbols warrior, he was able to escape death a few times. Tang Zheng knew that he had to end the battle quickly. This place was not far from the Chu family, and if he delayed for too long, the Chu family's reinforcements would arrive, and it would be even more difficult to kill Chu Chongyang. But, he didn't expect that the Chu family's reinforcements would come much faster than Tang Zheng had expected. The two of them had only fought for a while when a roar came from the horizon, and a helicopter quickly flew over. Whiz! A missile flew over and hit the four symbols venerable, causing sparks to fly like dazzling fireworks. The four symbols warrior took a step back. Tang Zheng looked at the helicopter above his head in shock. This missile was obviously more powerful than the one that attacked the witch tribe. The Chu family actually has a missile. These great families really have a lot of resources. Tang Zheng clenched his teeth and muttered to himself hatefully. Back then, Yi Tianlei also had a helicopter in the ordinary balance, but that was only a normal civilian helicopter, and this one was a military helicopter. But, with the strength of these great families, it was not impossible for them to have such a powerful weapon. Seeing that this huge object only took a step back and didn't explode, the others were dumbfounded and felt that it was unbelievable. This was a missile, not a bullet. Chu Chongyang quickly got away and shouted, "Shoot! Blast him to pieces for me!" Whiz! Whiz! 2 more missiles tore through the air, and the 4 symbols knight hurriedly dodged them. However, one of the missiles brushed past the 4 symbols knight's shoulder and hit a boulder by the side of the road. With a boom, the boulder shattered into pieces and rained down like a drizzle. However, the other one struck the 4 symbols venerable in the chest. With a thud, the 4 symbols venerable was sent flying backward, crashing into a tree on the side of the road. The tree trunk broke, and the 4 symbols venerable fell to one knee, barely stopping himself. Puff! Tang Jing spat out a mouthful of blood. His innate qi rolled like a surging river, causing him to feel dizzy. When the others saw this kind of attack, they didn't even dare to breathe loudly. They stared at the 4 symbols warrior without blinking. Although they couldn't see Tang Jing inside, everyone was sure that Tang Jing didn't die from the attack. Chu Chongyang had already deeply experienced the power of the 4 symbols warrior. Seeing that the missile attack was effective, it was as if he had obtained a treasure. He shouted, "Continue to attack, kill him." Whiz! 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 The remaining 3 missiles on the helicopter fired one after another, heading straight for the 4 symbols warrior who was kneeling on one knee. Chu Mingxuan's eyes were red as he clenched his fists tightly. His nails pierced into his palms and blood flowed out, but he didn't feel it at all. He only opened his mouth and said in a low voice, "You must kill him, kill him. Tang Jing, dodge." At the critical moment, Qin Batian shouted a reminder. However, it was already too late for him to save the other party. He also didn't think that his body of flesh and blood could withstand such a powerful missile. Tang Jing wiped the blood from the corner of his mouth and hurriedly circulated his energy to calm his agitated innate qi. His eyes were bloodshot as he shouted, "You want to kill me? Go to hell." His legs that were kneeling on the ground suddenly bounced up. The 4 symbols warrior soared into the sky and somersaulted in the air, brushing past 2 missiles. He stretched out his hand and actually grabbed one of the missiles, throwing it in the opposite direction. This missile let out a sharp whistle as it tore through the air and flew towards the helicopter. Seeing this, the pilot of the helicopter was so scared that his soul left his body. He hurriedly rose into the air to dodge, but it was already too late. The missile accurately hit the helicopter. With a rumble, the helicopter turned into a cloud of sparks. Catching a missile with his bare hands and returning the favor with the other party's method. This move was incomparably dazzling, causing people to be intoxicated and dazzled. In any case, the spectators on the ground were all dumbfounded, as if they had been cursed. "Run!" Chu Chongyang shouted. He made a prompt decision and turned to run like a madman. Chu Mingxian seemed to have woken up from a dream and also turned to run. "Want to run?" "No way." The 4 symbols warrior was still in midair. With a bang, his feet landed on the ground, kicking up dust as he directly blocked Chu Chongyang's path of retreat. Chu Chongyang grimaced and shouted, "Those who block me will die." Both of his hands shot out and his 10 fingers flicked. Streams of qi accidentally shot at the 4 symbols warrior's chest. Tang Zhang's qi and blood surged again and he spat out a mouthful of blood. Oh no, the 4 symbols warrior can't take it anymore. Somehow, Tang Zhang actually had the illusion that he was about to fall apart. He turned pale with fright. If the 4 symbols warrior was really destroyed, it would be an unimaginable loss for Tang Zhang. However, this was not enough to take Tang Zhang's life. He immediately flew up and kicked Chu Chongyang in the stomach. Chu Chongyang flew out like a cannonball, leaving behind a red line in the sky. Tang Zhang immediately drilled out of the Four Symbols warrior's chest and kept the Four Symbols warrior into his sumo ring. After taking this kick, Chu Chongyang's injuries were not light, but he still did not dare to stay any longer. His body somersaulted in the air, stabilized his body, and then rushed into the distance. You want to escape? Hand over your life. Tang Zhang took out his heaven-shocking bow and shooting sun arrows. It was not one shooting sun arrow, but a total of 6 shooting sun arrows. This time, in order to kill his opponent, he had really put in a lot of effort. The shooting sun arrows flashed, one after another, a series of arrows shot towards Chu Chongyang, as if they were chasing after his soul, flying towards Chu Chongyang. Chu Chongyang did not even dare to turn his head back. He already knew that there were layers of killing intent behind him, and with a flip of his hand, he used his 6-yang divine finger. The chi struck one of the shooting sun arrows, causing the shooting sun arrows to deviate and fly past him. Following the same pattern, 4 consecutive shooting sun arrows were deflected by him using his 6-yang divine finger, allowing him to escape this calamity. However, Tang Zhang had used up all of his strength to shoot these 6 arrows at once. His legs were weak and he had already fallen to the ground. He could only stretch his neck to look around. As for whether this attack would succeed or not, he could only leave it to fate. Puff! An arrow of blood shot out from Chu Chongyang's chest. You're tuning into the Journey of the Soul YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.